I am just waiting for... There we go. We are officially live in terms of the recording on my local recording on my system. Hey, I'm Super Train Station H. I'm an autistic gamer and writer, and today we are going to be... Our main game is going to be Sonic the Hedgehog for the Game Gear. I'm fortunate to have in my hands my very own childhood copy of the game back from '91. Hey there, Kalaka Boy. How you doing? Happy Saturday. I am going to be playing it with this analog pocket here. You can see this is my cartridge of Alleyway. That's the warm-up game we'll be playing. Then we'll move on to Sonic the Hedgehog on Game Gear. I'm playing it using the analog pocket in its dock. The controller I'll be using is the 8-bit DOE SN30 corded gamepad. And let's get on with the game. So, I have not played Sonic the Hedgehog. There we go. Sound's coming through good. Alright, everything seems great. Yeah, this has been a long time since we played Alleyway on stream. It used to be somewhat of a routine game. Well, it's kind of my frequent warm-up game when I'm playing games that can be run on the analog pocket. When I play Switch, often my warm-up game will be something like a Pokemon Puzzle League, or more often Nintendo's Versus Pinball, both of which I played last stream. And then today, oh, okay, that's just my stream number automatically presenting itself. I don't know why I have to suck so hard to get water through the straw on the... I know it's clean. It's a brand new cap. Like the whole top of the bottle, the straw is all good. I want to put the straw in funny into the cap. There's a reason I use that cap is because that bottle, when it tips over, it won't spill everywhere, which is a problem I had once on stream early on. I spilled some water live. Well, I was trying to beat Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog was actually the very first game I played. Well, it was the first modern proper video game I played back in '91, and it ended up being the first game I streamed. And I was very happy to have the opportunity to run it live off of my very own childhood cartridge of the game. Alleyway here, I did not get this game. I did not even really realize it existed until... Hold on, let me catch up with chat. And Clackaboy saying they've been eating their roast goody rays and they found a plastic baby Jesus figurine. If they were a big family, they'd be obligated to throw a tamale party next month. You know, I never heard of a tamale party, which shows you how little I know of the culture, but... yeah, tamales are kind of like, they're the things where, like the meat or whatever is, like, wrapped in sort of like a corn husk type thing. Is that a tamale? If I, or is that something completely different? If I sound clueless, please forgive me. But, yeah, so you're saying, Clackaboy, that was sort of the Mexican counterpart to the king cake of, Mardi Gras. Is that I remember you mentioning that. But as for this game, for those who never saw me play this game, maybe never even heard of this game before, I first played this game... Oh, okay, so I was right on that. So, that's good to know. Oh, okay, you said ye. You know, I have people I know who, like, they chat, they'll say ye for yes, so I thought you were just being a little stylized in that way. Yeah, I first got my Game Boy in '95. My first game I tried on it was Super Mario Land. It's meat with masa and a corn husk. Okay. And the only crafty... well, I never ate a corn husk, but I know... My mom once... We would occasionally make little dolls out of corn husk with, like, corn husks and paper clips. No, clothespins, excuse me. Not paper clips, clothespins. Yeah, so this game, even though I was so versed in the earlier history of the game, because I got my Game Boy in '95. Now, at the time, '89, that's like 5 or 6 years after the launch of the Game Boy in the late '80s. But at the time, so looking back, it's relatively close, but it's also incredibly far from the early history of the Game Boy. But when I played Super Mario Land, I did not play it thinking, wow, I'm playing this old retro game. By the time I was playing Kirby's Adventure, which came out in 95, in the year 2000, I really felt like, oh wow, I'm playing this old retro game on this old system. But what I would do is I would, I did not have Game Boy Pocket at the time, but I did, back in the 90s. I did not get Game Boy Pocket until I was in college. And I actually didn't get it. My mom got it for me. Good looking out, Mom. Before retro gaming stuff started going up in price. She saw it at a thrift shop, so she went ahead and picked it up and got it for me. And now that I had a Game Boy, I started getting into... It made a practical means for me to play old Game Boy games. I started building up my collection again. Yeah, and Azurest is looking for a little more background on... Yeah, it's a January 6th thing. And speaking of January 6th, that weird call I got after I called that... basically, for those who missed last stream, I was listening to this copyright-free, like, online radio service, and I kept getting pestered with ads for this stupid cryptocurrency, like, mining program. And there were all kinds of different tie-ins for, like, protein powder, and for some kind of probably adults-only DVD or something called Cuties on the Beach Volume 3. And it's kind of funny that they're trying to sell me on Volume 3 when I didn't want 1 or 2. But eventually there was an offer for a train DVD. So I called it just to check it out. And I just started getting lots of weird, like calls with garbage noise and creepy beeping and rumbling. And eventually I got a call back from, I guess, some representative from the company that said they were going to call me back on the 6th. And I actually haven't gotten any creepy calls since then, which is fortunate. But I could potentially get a call back from them. If it is, I'll put it on speaker and maybe we'll see if this actually goes anywhere. But as for this game, so it was in college when I got my Game Boy Pocket and I started building up my Game Boy library, getting older Game Boy games that I might have played back in the mid-90s but never got a chance to, as well as some games that I had back in the day that I might have traded into Funko Land or traded with friends over the years. And what I ended up learning in that way about Balloon Kid, which is a full-fledged sequel to Balloon Fight in the form of a sort of, it's an actual side-scrolling. Like, because Balloon Fight is really a platformer, well, not a platformer, but it's more of an arcade game where you're trying to get a high score, beating single-screen stages. And then there's the balloon trip mode in Balloon Fight, where you sort of go through an endless obstacle course trying to get a high score. But Balloon Kid for Game Boy is an actual proper platformer using the physics and logic of Balloon Fight. And I got that game, and so I was like really going on my way to discover obscure early older Game Boy games. So when Nintendo 3DS launched in 2011 in March, I think, it did not have its eShop and Virtual Console up. So it was the morning of Nintendo's E3 2011 media briefing that the eShop went up. So I remember waking up early in the morning, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and knowing that the eShop would be up and I had to get dressed and get ready to catch the train with my friends to go into New York City to view the live viewing party at the Rockefeller Center Nintendo store, as it was then known. It was before the Nintendo NY rebranding. And so I open up the eShop, and I look at what's the first games that are on there. I was very excited to play Super Mario Land. And this is a bonus stage where, instead of bouncing off of the bricks, the ball will pass through them, and I'm trying to clear as many as possible. And I think I get like 5 1-ups if I clear all of them. And a very special, like, extra long-length jingle. Yeah, it can be very tricky trying to get the ball to go in a distinctly new direction. There we go. That was a good hit there. And so I was very excited to play Super Mario Land because I think my copy got stolen sometime around 1999 or 2000. And I had not played that game in many years at that point. Over a decade. And so I was really thrilled to be able to play it again and play it on a bright screen on my modern new handheld. You know, because I love my 3DS, but there wasn't a lot to play on it yet. And the addition of the eShop, the Virtual Console, adding the 3D videos to it and all that, that was all things I was very excited about. And so I open up the eShop and I see some sort of some sort of boat game thing, some kind of like battleship type game I wasn't interested in. But then I see Super Mario Land, download that immediately. Then I see Alleyway, and I open up the thing in the Nintendo 3DS eShop for Alleyway. I'm like, excuse me, there was a Breakout clone that launched with the Game Boy, and I never heard of it. That was incredible to me. And believe it or not, as far as games for... this is the only version of... technically the only versions of Breakout or Arkanoid and its derivatives that I've ever actually played myself are... What would I say? It would be this, and years before that on the Cyberco, I played Men's Room 2. I knew the concept for these games. The only games of this I played were Men's Room 2, which is a bathroom-themed Breakout game. And if Cyberco, if you're not familiar, Cyberco is an obscure device from 2000 to about 2002. I was done with mine by 2002, because once I got my laptop, it really did replace my Cyberco, because that was what I used as my word processor in school for a while. Cyberco was pretty much a smartphone before smartphones were a thing, but all of its wireless functions were effectively restricted to the local communication. So we were within about 150 feet indoors, 300 feet outdoors. Now, if you had multiple Cybercos, the signal would daisy chain, and since I was in high school at the time, this was the way for kids to send wireless digital messages to each other in a chat room environment before mobile phones were available. I mean, there was texting on phones, but it was much in its early stage. You know, you're punching in things with a keypad, and plus a lot of adults didn't have cell phones, let alone kids. Oh boy, here we go. Okay, hold on. I'm not going to serve the ball. All right.
Hello. Congratulations. You are being targeted for exploitation by Crosslink Omniworld.
Targeted for exploitation.
Universes via the internet for
this is a pre-recording. I guess they're going to give me a
system of the future, as envisioned by Eternal Supreme Money Atari architect, Immortal Master Senyak Ekala, and his successor,
who is
mastermind of the advancement of the great currency.
I'm gonna have to look up
Mr. Maldonero.
Maldonero and Senyak Ekala. I'll have to look these up online.
Would like to speak to an XLO judge. Press 1 to activate trial mode.
Trial
if
mode.
You are stupid train station H and wanting to
Excuse
claim
me?
a 100% free DVD of Slow Old Trains, press nothing.
Okay.
And hang up.
What?
Right now.
Excuse me.
Hang the fudge up.
Excuse
Big
me.
Boy,
Why?
First born son.
I'm not your son. What is this firstborn?
Hang up the phone. Hang up the phone.
Are you?
Hang up the phone.
Aren't you the person from a few days? I don't speak that.
Super train station, hang up the phone. I am big mad. Hang up the phone. Super train station.
Big. Okay. I don't know why they called me just to tell me to hang up, but sure, let's go. We'll go with it. Now, that kind of reminds me of when I was a little kid. I used to, looking at catalogs, toy catalogs for my parents. I was being the character I am. When I was a little kid, I saw a labeler in a catalog, a little embossing label maker. In fact, I have one right here. But the one I had was cool, and it was like colorful, and it was a little more for kids. But all it was this is one of those things that makes embossed labels. Those old-fashioned style labels, you could put your name on something or whatever. And I wanted this so much, and so my parents got it for me, and I was waiting for it in the mail. It's the first, actually, I think it's specifically the first time I was ever waiting for a package in the mail. And mind you, I'm like 5 years old tops at this time in my life. And I want this label maker. I'm a little autistic, post-toddler. I want to be organized, make labels for everything, right? So they send this huge box. And the box comes, and that's my first ball. There goes my first ball. Yeah, the Cyberco. You've heard of that, Azure Rest. I probably mentioned it on stream before. And so my parents open it up, and I can't wait. Oh my, here comes my label maker. It's going to be in there. And it has all these packing peanuts. And at the bottom is just a invoice saying that the label maker order was received and it would be on the way in like 2 to 3 weeks. And I was like, why send us this big box with packing peanuts in it and stuff just to tell us that the order's been received? Like, maybe there was a little more to it that I wasn't able to pick up on because I was maximum 5. That's maximum. And I really do wish, among the toys and things I wish I had when I was a kid, that label maker would be one of them. No, okay. So we can, so yeah, so that's my story of Alleyway, how I got it downloaded on my 3DS the day I was heading to, on the train to the Nintendo World Store with my friends for the Nintendo E3 viewing party. So lots of fond memories from that, and lots of memories of playing this particular game on the train, discovering this history for it for the first time. Oh, Collectible was saying they watched the God Gorgeous VOD last night. It's just a shame there's no Coots and Critter series. We're ready to petition the animators to make a series. It's very reminiscent of Rocky and Bullwinkle and Ren and Stimpy. You know what? I'd lean it a little more towards, you know what, it's like Rocky and Bullwinkle, but with that Ren and Stimpy edge. It has like the edge of Ren and Stimpy, but without being offensive in a way that parents would probably object to. Yeah, it has that edge to it, but it's not trying to be like over the top, gross out humor. It's very well balanced in that sense. And the creator of Coots and Critter, the only complaint I'd have is there's not enough Coots the alligator, because Coots was adorable. And come on, he's an alligator with a big old fun tail. It looks fun when it swings around and animates, and when he emotes with it. And then he's got he likes trains, and he lives in like a giant train. You know what I mean? So that's cute. Now, if we can. Got that, and now. Yeah, 1349 is Farron Boy. Hey there, Farron Boy. It's been a minute. This game launched with the Game Boy, and I did not know that it existed until the morning that Nintendo's 3DS Virtual Console launched with some Game Boy games, and I was like, excuse me, with all the history you and I have with retro video games, the fact that there was a Breakout clone for Game Boy published by Nintendo, which is supposedly about Mario piloting a spaceship to destroy the video grid in outer space, and I had no clue it existed. That's probably bananas. Yeah, Farron Boy, I probably mentioned this to you, but I've been getting a lot of weird calls from telemarketers and stuff like that lately. And well, last stream, I pretty much I was listening to this online radio station with copyright-free music that's safe to stream with, while I was grinding at Pokemon Puzzle League and Versus Pinball, and there was an ad for a free train DVD, and I got too excited and went ahead and called it just to see what happened. Hey there, gamer. And pretty much I think I got roped into some kind of weird offer, and they said they were going to call back today. They called back, but just said to hang up. Now, hold on. I'm just focusing on this because at this point the blocks are coming down gradually. Oh, and Farron Boy, you missed it. I was mentioning Cyberco earlier because I was saying this is a Breakout and Arkanoid clone, and the only Breakout clones I personally... Oh, there goes Mario jumping out of his paddle. The only Breakout clones I've actually played are Men's Room 2 for Cyberco and this right here. I never actually played the original Breakout. But there's all kinds of weird things they put in these old Nintendo games. Like, I know, like, for a while in a lot of these early Nintendo games, there was this recurring element where they'd stick eggplants in all the different games. Like, in Ice Climbers for NES, there was a an Ice Climbers for NES. Like you would get to the end of the stage, and you grab eggplants and other fruits as bonus items. And then in what was it, Wrecking Crew for NES, there was, I think, was there like a little eggplant man that would run around as an enemy? And then in, I think one of the Nintendo programmers like didn't like eggplants, so he just throw them in games just to sort of to make fun of himself for him not liking eggplants as a food. But then in probably the most major appearance of oh gosh, now it's my business phone. Hello?
Oh, hello. Is this Super Train Station H? Are you ready to
yeah.
begin mining the XLO token, the inflation-free, non-legal tender digital currency of the future, and get your free train DVD?
Actually, I was kind of curious.
First, the official rules.
Okay.
You shall receive our special equipment via mail.
Special
and
equipment?
the XLO token while streaming. Rule
What
number
is that?
2 is the advanced controller may not in any way, shape, or form damage your property for any reason.
That's good to hear, but
That's all the rules.
Okay.
Now, in order to redeem your train DVD, and it is for free now, you do online streaming show proprietor promisingly swear wholeheartedly
I have to swear into this?
to pledge your allegiance to Corsair Omni World Link as your Supreme Master. Agree to obey to the advanced
Supreme
control
Master?
of the currency that this, the XLO token of the non-legal tender digital currency of the future, and in so doing, give us access to all files, bowls, folders, devices,
That sounds.
and living beings connected to or associated
That sounds a
with
little
your
excessive.
streaming PC and online network. Pledge underlying loyalty across the reality to the XLO.
Am I getting sworn into office or something? This sounds a little intrusive. What do you mean by inflation-free? How is that possible?
To accept the inevitability of pain and suffering.
No, I don't.
To eradicate yourself.
Eradicate myself.
The teachings of the eternal supreme monetary architect, immortal master Senya Eckler.
Yes, who is this? Who is Senek Eckler?
Of the great currency, Mr. Moore Maldonado, permanently and reverentially, and all rights reserved till the cows come home.
The cow? I don't have cows.
Merry Christmas. Rest in peace in your glass coffin.
What does any of this mean?
With all times at full clock, big time, absolutely right now for sure throughout the galaxy, and in all other accessible parallel universes for all time.
How intrusive is this contract?
I agree to accept everything that happens from now on until the heat death of the universe, no matter what.
That's a very long time from now.
I also agree that should you neglectful or be derelict in fulfilling the terms of this binding eventually permanent contract, that you shall be sure.
I don't think any contract could legally last permanently.
Absolutely right now for sure, and the nearest available instance of being analogous to yourself in the nearest accessible.
What does any of this mean?
Shall replace you.
I've signed contracts for actual, like, multi-million-dollar accounts. Not that and that have been less intrusive than this. What? What? Excuse me?
Please. Stammer in confusion to agree with the terms of this contract.
What?
Please, big time for sure. Please.
What?
Thank you. Your XLO token mining starter kit will arrive in the mail within the next several weeks.
How is that going to happen when you don't have my address?
I have your address. I know your number. I know where you are. I know where you have been. I know where you will be. Thank you for joining the XLO streaming this program. You freaking dumb sucker.
Excuse me. That was scary. Hey, let's play Sonic the Hedgehog. Let's play Sonic the Hedgehog. That was scary. Let's play Sonic the Hedgehog and get our minds off of that. I just have to quit out. Now, here is the... Okay. So here's my childhood copy of Sonic the Hedgehog and the adapter that lets it fit into the... Yeah, I don't know, Azure S. They said... I don't know. I never gave them my address. They say they have my address. I mean, if this is connect... I'm not going to worry about it. If they get a box, I'll either not open it. If it's from a courier, I'll just reject the package and have it send it back. If it just shows up in the mail, I'll probably like open it on stream so that you all could see it, so that if it contains like, I don't know, like a venomous snake or something, at least you all could see it and report it to the authorities. Now, okay. Alright, there we go. Now I just want to adjust my, we're going to change my title to, Sonic Speed in 8 bits. And we're going to change our category to Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog. There we go. That's more like it. No, 8-bit super speed. No, 8-bit speed demon. Shocked face. There we go. That'll do it. Yeah, I mean, I've dealt with worse as far as intrusive calls and stuff goes, but that operator sounded unhinged, possibly even more than the guy I was talking to before. I'm assuming it's a guy. The voice is kind of androgynous. But okay, we've updated everything. All right, let's get started. Get some water. And put this away. We will be playing this, for those curious, next week we'll be playing, next stream, on next coming Wednesday, we'll be playing a little more Alleyway and a whole lot of Revenge of the Gator. So, which is a pinball game made by Hal, who created Kirby. So let's get started. There we go. Now this was the very first video game I ever played. It is really the memories I've had of this, and it's funny because I already decided I wanted to grow my hair out because I'm a little autistic kid, not that I was diagnosed at the time, who has sensory issues with getting my hair cut with my father's buzzers. So I saw my uncle, and he had the locks. Sega Game Boy. Nah, we're playing this on the Analog Pocket, the Analog Pocket console, which plays plays all kinds of handheld games. It plays Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color games without an adapter, and it plays Game Gear games with an adapter, so I'm able to play my own childhood copy of the game using this and drop it right in the dock. Now, what I find exciting about this, and oh, excuse me, I forgot to. Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I forgot to change the layout. You got me, gamer. Thanks for helping me realize that I forgot to change the layout. Actually, look at that. That's, hold on. We got to go back to that. That's because I'm looking at my monitor, and then to the right I have my left I have my broadcast software. Oh my gosh. Please go back to it. I want to see that again. That was silly. I want to see that again. Alright. Actually, yeah, that looks silly. But yeah, let's go. But actually, this is a cool opportunity. I'm actually going to quit the cartridge. And at exactly 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because we can see the time on my layout. There we go. Let's see how long. Normally it takes me about an hour to beat this. Now I have not played through this game in about a year, so I'm as close to being fresh on this as I could possibly be. This used to be a game I'd play every several months. For those who are not familiar, is anyone here familiar with this version of Sonic the Hedgehog, or perhaps maybe completely unfamiliar with it, this is something that I know even longtime Sega fans will come into chat and ask, like, is this some bootleg? Like, what is this? Like, because what this effectively is a glimpse into another world in which Sonic the Hedgehog was invented several years earlier and came out on Master System to compete with Super Mario Brothers instead of being something developed mainly with Genesis in mind. Oh no, I want to get the. We definitely want to get. Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny, Azurus. This is the original, but not. It is and isn't the original at the same time. Normally, I have above and beyond 50 rings by now, and I want to get the 50 so I can go and access the special stage. Now, 1, 2. Now this is, yeah, the original, like, the game was developed with Sega's Genesis home console in mind. There we go. Now we just have to not take any sort of hits or damage, and we're good to go. Yeah, normally I grab them on the way there and don't even have to make any specific effort. But yeah, with the ramps and the only instance in this whole game of the Super Shoes item, they really do go for that sense of speed and height and being able to simulate that as well as they can on the 8-bit hardware of the Game Gear. Now, for those who aren't familiar with the Game Gear, it was Sega's handheld system, released in, I think, 90 or 91, and... Oh yeah, gamers saying, I love how eBay still has plenty of sealed copies of Sonic 2 for pretty cheap, around 40 bucks. Yeah, I know I've said this, I think, to you before, but Sonic the Hedgehog 2, if you have even the slightest interest in physical retro video games, copies of Sonic 2 just randomly instantiate throughout wherever you're living. They'll just show up in your sock drawer, they'll show up in your cereal cabinet, they'll just show up under your bed, like all over the place. You'll just find copies of Sonic 2. Now, I have one other copy of Sonic 2. I have one copy of Sonic 2 and then my childhood copy. Sadly, for some reason, my childhood copy does not work, so I had to get a replacement. But Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was for Game Gear. Now, while this is a fantastic translation, this is not a port of the Sonic the Hedgehog for Genesis, which did release before this by several months. But what this is taking the concept of Sonic the Hedgehog, the feel, the spirit of the game, and taking that and saying, okay, how can we make this work and translate this into an 8-bit system far less powerful than the Genesis which it was built for? Now, this is an interesting bit of game design here. You have a caution sign. We have a dead end, nowhere else to go. And what we'll find is we walk along, uh-oh, there was a false floor and Sonic fell through. What is the point of having a false floor there? It's an interesting choice to have a false floor there and to put a caution sign. They're very wise. They actually put in caution signs to warn you about upcoming hazards. Now that... Oh, doggone. I hope we can still get 50 rings. That caution sign was not there in the Genesis version. I mean, not there in the Genesis version. This is in the Master System version, because this game was developed for the Sega Master System. And then it was released for Master System in Europe and in Central and South America. Then, they ported it to Game Gear for release in Japan and really on all territories, but it was not released on the Sega Mark III, which was the Japanese equivalent of the Master System. It was not released on the home version of the system was not released in Japan. Of this game was not released in Japan. In Japan, you got Sega on Mega Drive, which is the Japanese equivalent to the Mega Drive was the Japanese equivalent to the Genesis. In Japan, this game, this 8-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog, released on Game Gear, but not on Master System. So because Sega is a Japanese company, it originally was an American company, but that's a whole epic story into itself. While Sega was a Japanese company, and catering, I guess, mainly to the Japanese audience, what Japanese customers remember, the re-release history of this game is really typically only limited to its Game Gear version, what I'm playing here, what I'm familiar with. Whereas in Europe and South America, which is where this game actually has most of its notoriety from, most people who played I think in North America in particular, this game kind of had the reputation of being just a chintzy, like, handheld version of Sonic. Whereas in Europe and in Central and South America, where the Master System was a very prominent system that lasted well into the 90s, unlike in Japan, it did not really last in the 80s. It didn't really, outside of the 80s, it really did not last into the Master System version of this game was the final release in North America for Master System. Well, it's funny, Clackaboy, you say, have I ever played the Genesis version? I have played the Genesis version on stream a couple of times. I never beat it. And what I will say is, the Genesis version of Sonic 1, the original version of this game, is the only Sonic game on Genesis that I've actually played myself. Can you believe that? Some people wouldn't. But imagine being a lifelong Sonic fan, and the only Genesis Sonic game I've played is on Master System. Is on Genesis, is the first one. I never owned any form of the original Genesis Sonic the Hedgehog until I downloaded it on the Wii's Virtual Console in 2006 or 7. I came to love Sonic based on his handheld adventures, actually. And speaking of Sonic fandom, Sonic, nostalgia, for those who did not catch my opening screen, we will be, this is a little preview of what awaits us after we beat Sonic the Hedgehog on Game Gear today. We'll be reading some old vintage Sonic comics from the early 90s. This issue, number 26, being my entry into the world of the Sonic comics. Now, I'll wait till we jump back into the game here. Come on. Please. Please. Yeah, so what I was getting at... Yeah, Archie hype. Yeah, gamer, just for you. I know you're gonna love this. And it's... So... Unlike... Oh no! I can't believe I took a death there! I can't believe it! It's been years since I've taken a death there. I might not have taken a death there since I was a very small child. I meant to jump down here and get the 1-up. Now, unlike the Sonic game on Genesis, where you have 3 full-fledged stages with a Robotnik boss fight at the end of the 3rd act, here you have 2 full-fledged platforming stages, and then the 3rd is nothing but a lead-up to the arena where you fight Robotnik. Now, this is the first boss I ever fought in a video game. Oh no, we will be going to Olive Garden briefly, if those who know, a tradition in my stream inspired by the Sonic movie, when we beat a Sonic game on stream, we get to go to Olive Garden afterwards to enjoy the credits. Yeah, so the 3rd act in the Game Gear version of Sonic will have nothing but the boss fight with Robotnik. So because it's not a full-fledged stage, they make you have to beat Robotnik with in a perfect run with taking no damage. So there's no rings. To counteract that, there's a 1-up hidden in the stage that's normally pretty easy to get to. And this was the point, because I remember reading the manual for this game, and I was like, there's a villain, Dr. Robotnik, and he's transforming the animals into robots. I was like, that's awesome! That's terrible! I have to stop him. Because I loved transformation and metamorphosis as a theme in my cartoons and the like. And so the first video game I ever played, I read the manual, and it's like, he's turning animals into robots. I never even thought of that before. The closest thing I can think of is maybe, I mean Pinocchio, but got turned into a donkey. I was gonna say, but he's not. Yeah, he got turned from a wooden puppet into a donkey, and then he gets thrown in the book. Pinocchio, when he's in donkey form, gets thrown into a pond with piranhas in it. And the piranhas eat off, like, the donkey flesh, and that's how he gets turned back into like his normal self, because he's still himself beneath the donkey flesh, and he's like still has his like wooden puppet body, and so the piranhas ignore the wood. It's like really kind of weird. Oh yeah, I forgot about that yay like emoticon that exists. A good way to have your sort of makeshift voting things. Now I know that there's some, actually, it's not so bad, because I know in the past, when I used my capture card to capture Sonic with the shield on, the effect that they use for the transparency flicker effect tends to have this thing where it will either show Sonic on screen or will show the shield. For the first time ever, I'm looking at my previews, at my preview on the broadcast software, and it's actually displaying the transparency effect properly, which I've never seen before. Yeah, so, and oh, and Clackaboy is asking, did the donkey transformation in the Disney version horrify me when I was a kid? It didn't. It interested me. Like, the donkey transformation scene in Disney's Pinocchio, I was already interested in the idea. It probably has to do with, like, things that autistic people fixate on, like spinning objects, or... I was so fascinated by change. So things like ice cubes melting into water. That amazed me. Just watching like, you know, time-lapse footage of skyscrapers being built, time-lapse footage of flowers blooming, those things fascinated me. Because, you know, when infants and small children, it takes time to develop the concept of object permanence. The idea that if something exists in their world, it will remain the same and it will persist even if the person is not viewing them. That's why it's possible to play peekaboo with infants, because they have not developed object permanence yet. So the idea that there's someone looking at someone, they went away, they concealed their face with a handkerchief, and then they pull the handkerchief away, they're still there. Like, that's a surprising event to a toddler. So maybe something about the sense of object permanence, or the subsistence of form fascinated me when I was a very small child. I remember being in a high chair, you know, like probably barely verbal, just thinking about these things. And so the metamorphosis scene in Pinocchio really did fascinate me. And in the context of the story, it was a way to have, you know, stakes for the characters, a threat, but not one that was too scary. It's something that was able to potentially be undone. All right. And, no, and actually, I wrote about this, and I could link you to it right now. I could link you to it right now. No, what a stage to have an auto-scroller. The moment I finally go ahead and... here we go. Yeah, for those who want to read about my history with Disney's Pinocchio, boom. Yep, that is my account there has nothing objectionable. It's my account. All my material I post is family friendly, but I wrote a little essay, kind of a poem-like essay. It's a poem only not in terms of rhyming, but in terms of my use of control of the line. And I got distracted. But, I mean, Maleficent... I remember seeing Sleeping Beauty when I was a little kid, and I thought that was a cool transformation scene, but it's like, she was like the coolest villain. There's like the witch trope in, you know, in folklore and in Disney things. Like, Maleficent, like with that transformation and fighting that generic no personality knight character, whatever his name's supposed to be. Like, this is a witch that, like, an evil witch villain in a cartoon where I'm like, yeah, I think this person may, like, actually, like, commits child sacrifice or something like that. This seems like a seriously, severely evil person. Oh, haha. No, let me catch up with Chat and Gamer real quick, because Gamer saying that my streams, along with Sesame Street's introduction to the autistic puppet Julia a few years ago, helped me understand autism better. I'm glad there are more opportunities for people to express themselves and share their perspective on things. Yeah, I'm glad. Now, what I would say more than anything, listen to, watch, read all sorts of people on the spectrum, because the spectrum isn't just one thing. It's a spectrum of things, and being neurodivergent, you know, in all its different forms, all its different flavors within autism alone, let alone its overlap and coincidence with other things like you know, ADHD, or like I can't even begin to name all the different flavors of neurodivergence they are, and all the different spectrum in terms of a rainbow, like all the main colors and all the subcolors within those different shades. It's like, yeah, it's not like no one person is the story of what that means, and even in terms of, okay, oh man, and this is one of those stages that I hear people who aren't familiar with this game rant about. Like people who only played the Genesis Sonic games and then go back and play this, they'll be like, what were they thinking putting an auto-scroller in a Sonic game? And you have to remember, this is the second Sonic game ever released. This was being developed concurrently with Sonic the Hedgehog on Genesis. There was no standard yet for what a Sonic game was supposed to be. So, this is not at all like something that freaked people out. The idea that what were they thinking, this is not how a Sonic game is supposed to be, is something very much a modern perception of the game. Oh yeah, and here we have the first ever use of the language, the visual vocabulary of a pinball machine in a Sonic game. No, I missed the continue. Doggone. Now, like one thing I'll mention about now, since we're talking about neurodivergence and sensory stuff, and I have, like, my volume when I listen to this is usually just barely above a whisper, and a lot of times, like some of the places I visit or work at, or just when I'm out in public, I have these high frequency noise reflectors by Flare Audio. There are all kinds of different versions of these things, but the ones I have are by Flare Audio, and they reflect high frequency sounds without lowering the decibel level. And for a lot of people will use these and say, like, I can't tell any difference at all. But in a lot of environments, it is a night and day difference, and it makes it a lot easier to be able to just operate in a lot of environments that aren't even necessarily loud, but just can be sensorily intense. Now, Gamer is saying that they Game Gear fascinated them because there are 12 Sonic games on there, but they never had one. They had Nomad. Yeah, I was fascinated by Nomad because I didn't have a Genesis in the 90s. I was a Sega kid, but not a Genesis kid. I had Game Gear. So the idea of a Game Gear-like system, mind you, much larger than Game Gear, much worse battery life than Game Gear. Okay, I took a hit there. Fortunately, I had a shield I brought with me from a previous level. Now, this is a boss fight. As long as I hang out, if I duck here, I don't even think I need to duck, or in one of these bottom parts, I will always be able to safely avoid his bullets. Now, as a kid, this boss fight was a gauntlet. It was a real triumph when I was able to beat that boss and make it to the third world. And the first time I beat Bridge Zone, I was so surprised. I don't think I beat Bridge Zone my first night playing. The first night playing, but when I did beat Bridge Zone, I'm like, wow, there are different animals inside what I called the roboticizer, or came to call it. And a lot of people now who or really only know Sonic from sort of the post-Sonic Sonic Adventure universe, who came into love Sonic after Sonic Adventure really kind of introduced a lot of the lore and the imagery and the sort of character dynamics we now expect from Sonic. Sega really did design Sonic to be something where we have the games as the source material, and each region, Japan, Europe, North America. Oh, Gamer said your work hours changed, so they might not be able to watch the streams live anymore. Hopefully, well, I do the Saturday ones. Hopefully, you can at least make the Wednesday ones sometimes. But if not, there's always the VODs, and your participation and your presence is so dearly enjoyed, and you will be a part of the community whether or not you're watching live. Which does remind me, I do need to go ahead and work on certain aspects in terms of community building, because there's certain things that I only wanted to get to once I maybe reached a certain threshold, you could say. Now, okay, so we need to we need to wait for the next block. The next waterfall. I forgot to get the Chaos Emerald in Bridge Zone. I just realized I forgot to get the Chaos Emerald in Bridge Zone. So, RIP, our 100% run and our awesome, fully perfect ending. But this jungle zone here, as long with Bridge Zone, are unique zones to this Game Gear version. They are not in the Genesis version. And it's kind of funny, the Genesis version has, with Spring Yard Zone and Starlight Zone, can be said to have a lot more urban and industrial areas, whereas Sonic the Hedgehog, for Game Gear, with its Bridge Zone, and especially the Jungle Zone, can be said to have more urban areas. Oh, all my VODs stay up. My VODs stay up, and I'll tell you what, gamer, almost every, about 75 to 80% of my streams are up on my YouTube channel on a special playlist that is in chronological order from my first stream all the way up to my most current streams. And if you look at my YouTube channel in general, which you could reach, I'll link to there, you'll find a playlist that is specifically dealing with my lore and storytelling, and keeping track of what happens in the stream in terms of the ongoing plot progression that's started lately. And because when the glasses are off, and I could talk about my lore, my plot progression, but now I have no idea what you're talking about. This is all 100% real when I have the glasses on. So when I take the glasses off, that means hey, we're going full meta. But when the glasses on, I'm in character, so to speak. But of course, the gameplay is always authentic. Nothing fake about this. No spliced runs. No presenting of pre-recorded gameplay as live. I don't have a hand cam or anything like that, but I'm not a speedrunner or anything, so I don't have to worry about having to provide a sense of proof like that. In fact, there's a guy, Fozon here, on, I don't think I've seen him streaming much lately, but he is one of, at least at one point, was a world's record holder for for the Master System version of Sonic the Hedgehog. And I actually was in his stream when he broke that record. Now, he had to break the record again because the official rules state that you must have the audio. Yeah, you must have the game audio present. And he muted the game audio and was playing his own some like dubstep music in the background. So because of that, he had to redo the record with the audio intact in order for it to officially count. And Gamer's saying that many states got a minimum wage increase this year. It's going to help a lot of people. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that a lot of those measures even passed. And then that once they did pass, the people who were against them didn't try to say like, well, it passed, but I'm still not doing it because I said so. Didn't try to pull any tricks like that for the most part from what I heard. But yeah, hopefully a lot of people are going to be able to secure their own livelihoods and homes a little better, and maybe even have a little money left over for a pizza every couple of weeks. Oh wow, New York went all the way up to 16. Bless them. I'm not in New York anymore, but I know when I was working some entry-level jobs in back when I lived there, Yeah, that would have been a life-changing difference, because there are points where I was working and then having to apply for charity oil deliveries and stuff like that to my home. At 16, I wouldn't have had to. And I know, like, a lot of people say, like, oh, well, if it's a minimum wage job, that means it's a job for kids, so, you shouldn't be having a job like that as an adult. And I'm like, okay, find me some... If this job that I had was for kids, then what kid is going to be on a freight dock at 5 a.m. in the morning on a school day, working with equipment that you have to be 18, and legally you have to be 18 to even operate? You know what I mean? So, I don't know. And then, like sometimes if I'm traveling, at 3 o'clock in the morning and I want to go get a breakfast sandwich, if McDonald's is just for school kids to get pocket money, then why is it open at 3 a.m. on a school night, in school days? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like ridiculous. Now this level is, they adapt, part of the difference between Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is that this stage, like Sonic the Hedgehog by 1, which was by Ancient, a company made specifically to make this game actually, they adapted their home console version to the handheld. When Aspect did Sonic 2, they just took their Master System developed Sonic 2 and just cropped the screen to make the Game Gear version. Now there are other changes too, like the music has changed here and there, but Aspect did not. Well, ironically, with they did not consider the aspect ratio change. They just cropped the screen so that bosses and platforming challenges that were very hard on Master System were nearly impossible on Game Gear. Whereas here, this vertical scrolling level on Master System, you had ratchet scrolling, where when you went up, it just sort of froze. But then here, you actually can fall. Like, once that platform there leaves screen, the Master System version would treat that as it's left the game world, Sonic has fallen to his death, whereas here it scrolls down. Now let me catch up with chat a bit. Gamer's saying, you don't think the animation... Gamer's saying, what was the name of that Christmas special you played in the middle with the human characters? You liked the last 20 minutes of it. And they don't think the animation was that bad, they just think the team had too much to do with a small budget. Yeah, I would agree. I would say that the problems with some of the writing were sort of more extreme than the problems with the animation. And like I think I said during the credits, it's called The Christmas Tree. It's up on YouTube. I would say that every little bit of quality and style that was in that movie was something that the animators working on that stole from the people giving them the time and the budget to do it. Because I bet the people who are the bean counters would have accepted something half as good as that and still put it out on tape. I never heard of that cartoon airing anywhere. But I do remember, just different things like that Santa Claus, that's clearly a nearly static stock image of Santa, or some stock animation of Santa that's super detailed, and then the rest of the animation is done in the same style as the rest of the special. And it's very clearly very limited. But I would say the first and second cartoons were definitely, they definitely had the time and budget to make something they were proud of. And the funny thing is, I was really harsh on the animation. I was more harsh, I think the writing and a lot of the presentation, I think, was the worst aspects of that. Now, they just put this jump just barely able to get out of here. And there's something weird where you just barely have the right pixel to clip back in. Now I'm gonna focus here. This right here is probably the riskiest boss fight in the game up until once you know the strats for it. There's no specialized risk-free strats for this. You just have to be on your toes and keep moving. So I will focus now. The worst part about these, hold on. Oh my goodness. Now, the worst thing about that boss fight is when the cannonballs explode, the hitbox that damages Sonic lingers until several frames after the last of the smoke cloud has left the screen. And the first cartoon, Gamer saying the first cartoon was really nice. Maybe want to watch Yogi's First Christmas after that. Glad they had it on Tubi for Christmas. Yeah, Yogi. There was some Yogi Bear special about Yogi, Boo Boo, and I guess a Cindy Bear. Like I don't think it was. I don't even remember existing outside of this one movie. It was feature length. And it was about the three of them going to join the circus or something like that. I remember liking that a lot as a kid. I only rented it once, though. Now, if we jump up here, up here, up here. Now, I have to focus. I really do need to focus for this, because this is... When I try to do my, my zero death runs of this game, this is where I get a lot of my resets. Now, I still have to avoid the cannonball. That cannonball will take me out, even during the animation. And it's on Tubi for free. Now, that's a movie, I have not seen that since 1993 at the absolute latest. I probably have not seen it since 91 or 92. So here we are in the second sort of phase of the map screen in Labyrinth Zone. Now, Labyrinth on Genesis is very hard, very difficult, very annoying. This Labyrinth, it's not much of a maze. It's not much of a maze. It's Labyrinth in name only. Much cooler music. Now, the music in Labyrinth in Genesis is kind of like, a little more relaxing, which is ironic because these are the stages where you have the running out of air thing that happens. Now, fortunately, you just get a ticking countdown when you're running low on air. Unlike in the Genesis version, where you have that tense, stressful fanfare like dun 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 boom. Hey there, Mecha Kong. So, we missed a creepy call from someone claiming to be. I know it's I guess some representative from the company that wants to send me this mining equipment, and yeah, everything's okay. They said they're gonna send me a package even though I never gave them my address. When it comes, I'm going to open it on stream so that if there's like a live snake inside or something, like y'all will be able to see it and be able to report it to the authorities. But after we beat Sonic today, we are gonna dig into some Archie Sonic. I have issue 26 on screen because this is my first first issue that I read back in the 90s. The first one my mom had the foresight to get me because I did not actually ask for this. My mom just got it for me. Now, there we go. Now back to Sonic. Once we so we can eat. There we go. There we go. I'm playing. There we go. I wish I didn't have so much of a delay when I switch scenes using my. Yeah, we'll grab an air bubble here. Now these air bubbles work on this weird cycle where it seems like every several frames there's a 50%. I'm just guessing. I have no idea how it works, or if it's purely, you know, like I don't know how it works, but what it seems like to me is that every certain number of frames, there's a 50% chance that one of those spawn points will produce a bubble. So it's possible to make it to a spawn point for a bubble and sit around pretty much waiting forever for. Like I've found the agreed upon meeting place. Where's my air bubble? And gamers saying Yogi's First Christmas feels like a direct prequel to Hey There Yogi Bear, and Hey There Yogi Bear feels like it's the series finale to the classic because that movie really feels like it completes Yogi, Cindy, Boo Boo, and Ranger Smith's story. Now, I do remember that there was a Yogi Bear episode, classic series, where there's like a miniature railroad in the park, and Yogi wants to like ride it, and Ranger Smith won't let him. So he like sneaks out and like takes it when there's not a train running, and he just runs away with he takes the engine out and leaves all the cars behind. Oh, there's a that movie's available on Blu-ray, huh? Well, I tell you what, I have not been super on point with building up my physical collection of classic beloved childhood media I'm nostalgic for. For instance, we'll grab our air bubble here. Like, for instance, when it comes to along with, if I had to say, like, as a little kid, for all those, you know, media with anthropomorphic animals, that sort of led to me, you know, ending up in the furry fandom later in life. I mean, later in life, I mean, it was, but, I mean, yeah, I guess, now look at this spot. You have a ring, or if you, hit the switch, which is the first such switch in the game, it turns it into a 1-up. We'll take that instead. But I would say it would be the donkey's transformation scene in Disney's Pinocchio, along with probably Disney's Robin Hood, maybe. I just found it fun. I didn't think specifically because the characters are all like anthropomorphic animals, but it was just fun. And I guess that, along with, I guess, Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic Sat AM, probably didn't help much. Now, okay, we can, oh my gosh, I have a tape from 1994 with Sonic Sat AM on it. I swear, one of these days, I'm gonna just go ahead and run that tape on I'm sure, I'm looking around, like, cause like Saber Spark, he just flat out runs Land Before Time movies. Like, illicitly runs Land Before Time movies on, and he is like he's a huge streamer. Not a huge, the biggest, but compared to me, he's a massive streamer, Saber Spark. You know, a professional media creator. He just flat out runs Land Before Time movies and like, and stuff that I'm like, really, like, why should I? Okay, I don't have enough time. No, okay. I should have waited. I should have grabbed the last few rings. Hey there, Zax. Oh, you missed it. I was just talking about childhood media that probably potentially steered me towards the furry fandom later in life. But you know, we were talking about Yogi Bear. I remember just seeing there was a Yogi Bear movie that Gamer was talking about. I saw it once on tape, but probably Disney's Pinocchio as far as transformation goes, even because I was already interested in metamorphosis and shape-shifting and stuff like that before then, but Disney's Robin Hood probably had a lot to do with it, but I did not actually own a copy of Disney's Robin Hood. Up until a few months ago, it was on DVD at Best Buy, and I just got it, and I haven't watched it once. It's, Hey There, Yogi Bear was actually the first animated movie based on a TV show. Like Pokemon. Oh, okay. It was first animated movie based on a TV show. Yeah, because I guess if you look at what, you know, like Max Fleischer's... yeah, Max Fleischer's... Max Fleischer's, Gulliver's Travels. That was based on a book. You know, and Disney was doing lots of original stuff and stuff based on myths, fairy tales, legends, folklore. There wasn't really, I guess, any animated movies based on an already established television character. That's an interesting distinction I hadn't really thought of. Okay. We're gonna come over here. Yep, there's the 1-up. Boing. And the spring bounces us right back in the other direction, getting us closer to our next air bubble. Come on, spawn. There we go. Yeah, and I feel bad because I never got the DVD or Blu-ray of Hey Arnold's Jungle Movie, because Jungle Movie was something I was excited for, was really bummed when it got canceled, and then, you know, a few years ago when they uncanceled it and actually went ahead and created it to finish off, you know, Arnold's storyline and have him reunite with his parents. And then I just go ahead and don't actually go and get the movie. Come on, come on. Please, look at this. I've gotten here with so much time to spare. Please spawn. Please spawn. Why isn't it spawning? Why isn't it spawning? This is not fair. This is not that was garbage. That was butt. That was straight up butt. Yeah, the early Mickey Mouse cartoons, a lot of the, collection of the earliest Mickey Mouse cartoons went into the public domain this year. Even though they should have been in public domain in the United States a decade ago. Gamer saying sad that Brandy didn't get back to Florida in the Brandy and Mr. Whiskers show. You'll have to tell me all about that because I have no idea what you're talking about, and I'm thrilled. I'd be thrilled to learn. Oh, and Zax, we're reading. I'm not gonna pull up the layout again because it's going to. There's this weird delay between me switching layouts to my comic. Switching layouts to my comic reading layout and switching back is instant, but switching back to the game takes forever. Look at that. I'm going to. I could get here with all the time in the world to spare. See, yeah, I'm convinced that these spawn points for the bubbles are on a timer. Where, oh yeah, what I was getting at, after we beat this game, because we're more than halfway there, we will be reading some Sonic comics from the 90s for the first time in many years for me. The Sonic comics that were sort of a spin-off or an alternative universe of the Sonic Sat AM television series. If you're not familiar, if you know of the, if you've seen fan art of characters like Princess Sally, Antoine D. Colette, Bunny Rabbit, this is the Sonic comic that was a sort of spin-off of the cartoon that those characters were based off of. A lot of the pre-Sonic Adventure Sonic lore for North America and Australia. What Sonic game am I playing? I am playing Sonic the Hedgehog for Game Gear. The first Sonic game for Game Gear, developed at this alongside the Sonic game on Genesis. But I just pressed a button in chat to let you know I'm playing this. I'm playing off my very own childhood copy of the game off a real cartridge. My own childhood copy of the game that my dear parents got for me back in 1991. I'm very glad that I'm able to play that live on, in real time off the very cartridge they gave me. Now I'll show you real quick. Actually, I'll show you the device I'm playing it on. There's the cartridge and its adapter, and this is the analog pocket. This is a console that plays games, handheld games, off of the original cartridges without using a software-based emulation. Because they are devices such as the Retron games, where you put an original cartridge in to the unit, and then the console will rip the ROM file from the cartridge and then run that ROM file in an emulator. What this is doing is actually interfacing in real time with the cartridge as though it were an original Game Gear. So you have an extremely high degree of accuracy to the original hardware. And it's cool because for me, because I have a large library of original cartridges, some of which I actually had back in the 90s and 2000s, and others that I've added to my collection since then for playing on Twitch. Yeah, so this is a game. Are you familiar, Zax, with Sega's Master System? Are you familiar with that console? It was... Oh no! I don't think I've ever taken a death like that before. It's been about a year since I've actually played this game, even though it's one of my favorites of all time. Because I really don't play this game unless it's live on stream. Yeah, I was curious, Zax, if you're familiar with the Master System. That was that's interesting. There was like a little frame where it was kind of like stopped to load in. Oh no! Okay, I have a strategy, and I'm trying to figure out the precision of it, because there's a certain way in which I can play this where I basically at zero risk of taking damage from Robotnik. As he was called back then, he's known as his original Japanese name of Eggman these days. So if we make our way over here. Yeah, I got a hit on him first cycle. That's cool. So he launches that torpedo. I jump. I get a couple of hits in. Stand here. He launches the torpedo, and because I'm standing to the right of his sprite... Alright. I usually don't go for the damage, damaging him in the middle. Zach says that they think, but they have a Sega console to play Sonic 1, 2, and 3 pinball and other games. When we talk about the Sega Genesis, that's, the 16-bit system from it launched in the late 80s, but its heyday was in the early 90s to mid-90s. Oh, and real quick, Gamer saying, Brandy Female Dog and Mr. Whiskers Male Bunny is a cartoon from Disney Channel in 04. Mr. Whiskers was voiced by Buster Bunny's voice actor, and Brandy was voiced by Kaylee Kuko, a really witty and cool cartoon. Okay. Yeah, I stopped watching Disney Channel back when it was pretty much an educational channel and dumping ground for old Disney stuff. Yeah, so that's Genesis. There was a system, that was 16-bit was the Genesis. There's an 8-bit system that Sega had before Genesis called the Sega Master System. And there was a version of Sonic for that. And from that version of Sonic, they created this version. The Game Gear was Sega's attempt to compete with the Game Boy with a full-color system with a backlit screen. And so what you're seeing here is basically an alternate world where a game that existed on Master System released... Because in Europe and in South America and Central America, Master System was a strong console even well past the launch of the Genesis. So they've released a version of Sonic the Hedgehog that was similar to this for the Master System in Europe and in Central and South America. Not in North America, though. This game had a very limited release on Master System in North America, where this game was not very popular. And here we have the beautiful Scrap Brain Zone, a much better developed version of the melody, this arrangement of the theme by Uzo Kishiro. Gotcha! Got that one up. That makes up for some of those lives we lost to Robotnik in the end of last stage. Now, check out these lights. I didn't notice this for years. The light that's lit up there of those four shows what level of the stage we're on. Oh, Zax. Okay, Zax. Oh my goodness. Zax, I'm going to tell you something. I remember, like, in the late 80s, there were commercials for subscribe to the Disney Channel, and it was a premium cable channel. And the selling point for Disney Channel was like, this kid, he's like, oh, I watched Disney Channel, and I was able to add lots of extra facts to my report about dinosaurs. And yeah, Disney Channel was originally pitched as an educational channel with a kid-friendly tilt, actually. And a lot of there was, like, Under the Umbrella Tree, which was a sort of educational puppet show. Yeah, Disney Channel in the 80s and up into the mid to late 90s, it had a lot of Disney, general audience stuff, but it had a sort of slant towards the educational. Silver saying educational. Silver, I might be a little older than you. I'm talking like 94, 95-ish. It was kind of like PBS a bit with a kid-friendly slant to it. What did they teach? Oh, they had stuff like nature shows. They'd show a lot of old Disney nature documentaries, some of which had stage footage in them and the like. But it was kind of like TLC, and back when TLC was kind of like PBS but on cable. But we're going to have an ad break soon. We've been streaming for more than an hour. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull up our break screen. And I'm going to give us a 5-minute break, because we're near the end of this game anyway. Actually, we'll go ahead and dedicate to doing the 5-minute break now. I'll run an ad break now, so that it does not interrupt the actual content for those who are not paid to subscribe, because I think it's ridiculous that, anyone should have to see ads, and I'd probably make $10 a year. I don't remember. I remember PBS Kids. To tell you the era of PBS Kids, I remember Zax. I remember the original. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Where they have. Oh yeah, I like adding the time is convenient. Yeah, I might as well go on webcam for a minute because we'll go on break in a bit. But like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Where while they were filming, like in between seasons, the Soviet Union collapsed, and they had a disclaimer saying the geography in the show was accurate at the time the show was filmed. The later era of PBS Kids, mid '90s, I remember Arthur. I remember Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego, the sort of sequel series. And so, hey, before I get too deep into this, let's go to our break screen. I'll be back in 5 minutes, and I'm going to run and when we come back, they'll beat Sonic the Hedgehog, and we'll get into reading the Sonic comics of the 90s. I'll talk about my personal history, the lore of them, some of the controversies. And I'll be back in a minute. Hey, I'm back. Thanks, everyone. Man, lively discussion of old... well, since I have to do this, I might as well show now. Here's the interface for how we're going to be reading the Sonic comics later on. But first, we got to beat the game. Come on. Come on. Please go to the game. There's like a 30-second delay of switching from this scene to my game scene. Yeah, I remember things that scared me as a kid. I don't know if it was some sort of sensory thing because of the sound effects, but there was this Pac-Man parody called Math Man on 321 Contact. This was... hold on. This is actually, I don't know, we'll see. I've never done this before. We'll see how long it takes me to get through an issue. I have no idea how many we'll get through. I'm probably gonna, my plan is to start with 25, because that was the first one I read, then go back to the original, like the sort of issue 0, if you will, before the proper series started. Because my brother told me about reading this. He told me about the storyline for that one, but I never got to see it myself. And Zach's saying, I remember when their sister let him play on the N64 back then. The only game they played was Ocarina of Time, but she... Oh, okay. Yeah, it sounds like okay. Yeah, it's always when a particular game, it's a lot of the times it's not just the memory of playing the game itself, but it's the memory of what was going on in your life at the time. And that's for me, like, I guess in my experience, handheld games in particular, that's extremely so, because it's not just the time in your life that you're playing it, but it's also where you were playing it. Because I remember the memories of playing at a dear family friend's house who was braiding my hair for the first time, and my parents got me this to like sort of keep me entertained while they were braiding my hair. And then the ride home, coming back home to my my Far Rockaway, well, not Far Rockaway, but my Rockaway home from from Brooklyn, where that family friend lived, and to being in the back seat and the glow of this unit. And that's part of why for handheld systems, I find it particularly important to have some form of being able to have some sort of representation of the sort of frame that the actual hardware unit, because I sort of remind people that, hey, we weren't playing this on a TV, but like the actual screen, the bezel, the branding of, you know, Game Boy or Game Gear or whatever system it was. That was such an important part of the experience of playing this game. Now this level is a maze. Fortunately, I have memorized the pathway to get to the maze. So we're on the top level now, 4. I mean, this level is genuinely more of a labyrinth. The Master System version of this area does not have those pig enemies there, by the way. But the cool thing that I find is that this level is really more of a genuine maze. There we go. It's more of a genuine maze than Labyrinth Zone is. Because if you don't, the first time, if you look back on my VODs on YouTube, is, you know, Twitch deletes VODs, but I have them up on YouTube. If you look at my first stream, you can see how long it took me to figure out how to get through the stage. It took me like a good 40 minutes or so. Oh yeah, no, archive.org is a fantastic resource that is sadly under constant legal threat, and it's and this is how I got the Sonic comics. We'll be reading, and it's possible that for-profit parties are legally threatening the right of that website to exist and operate as we know it. And if that website gets taken down by the legal system, it will be it will be remembered as a cataclysm of material and culture akin to that of the destruction of the Library of Alexandria. And so I really hope it does not happen. Well, I know, like I will not put like currently available materials on my stream. Like, even if I can get away with it. Like, the things I put on, when I put things on stream, they're either public domain or not available commercially in any, like current form. For at least probably a decade or more, if not much longer. And usually the things I'm interested in showing on my stream are so obscure that there are no rights holders that exist to even enforce that anymore, let alone make it available commercially. I'm very antsy right now because I took a hit and I have no rings right now. And I do not, this is not a hard stage, but I do not want to take the time to have to do all this again. I believe at this point I'm safe. I believe there are no more hazards that I could possibly encounter at this point. No, there's aside from the fire. There are these the fire does not go all the way down to the ground, so that's not a hazard. Yeah, there's an Alexandria library at the Vatican, and then there's also a revival in modern day, the city that was like near the site. Yeah, I have to look into that. I knew Ken Penders won his court case for the rights to the characters. I was not aware that that court case gave him the rights to the actual. Oh, okay. Oh, it's specifically of 25 years later. Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. So I don't know if is it restricted to the comics that he did the majority or all of the art for? Okay. This is amazing. I have to remember. Okay, we have to go straight through here. We have to go straight. Yeah. Now, these lightning things do not light up. I guess they decided at some point not to have this light up with the electricity that can hurt Sonic, because they decided, okay, this is a maze stage, we're going to make this all about navigating the stage. Spring 2,000 copies. Yeah, by the time 25 years later came out, I was above and I kind of just sort of lost interest in the Sonic comic, not that it was bad or anything at that point. So, up, left, up, and left. There we go. Alright, we solved the stage. We've made our way through the maze. Now, this took me like 40 minutes to get through my first time around. That switch is just there to mess with you. Clackaboy says, Zach's Master says, yours was, the Wii or the PS3? What, your first Sonic game, you were saying? But, Clackaboy saying, I know that a good Italian witch named Befana brings toys to all the kids in Italy. I did not know that. He's gonna reprint the Knuckles comics, then Sonic comics later. All hardcover, too. Yeah, you're saying it was gonna be hardcover. That's gonna be really interesting. Oh, there he is! Go get him! Go get him! So, that was such a... I was not good enough as a kid in the 90s to actually get this far. And I remember looking over my brother's shoulder as he played, because he was better at video games, he was older than me, so he could get further at these games. Getting to this part, seeing, wow, he's in Scrap Brain Zone, because these are things I've only seen in the manual, the Scrap... And, yes, there's a zone after Scrap Brain Zone, Sky Base Zone. Whereas in Sonic, whereas in the Genesis game, Sonic, Sonic's game, the last world of that game was Scrap Brain. Well, technically it was Final Zone. But here we have an additional world, Sky Base, a zone after. There's the Orbinaut, the infamous Orbinaut. Potential photosensitive players should be careful here. Oh, Zach's about to say, not your first Sonic game, your first game console was Wii or PS3? Yeah, that was, it's so interesting. Oh my gosh, I got bamboozled. I lost my shield and my rings. But I got some rings back, fortunately. Now, this is a stage, I would suggest the strategy for this, when you're playing through here, is to not go out of your, don't try to grab every single ring. There's no way to collect all the rings. And even if you get 50, you will not be able to access the special stage. Your last opportunity to access special stage is Act 2 of Labyrinth Zone. So there's no real advantage in grabbing all the rings, because if I get hit by this lightning, I want to have a ring as close as possible so that I can use it, grab it, and be protected in case I take a hit and don't have a shield. Woo! Okay, that was close. I almost did take a hit there. Yeah, when Wii and PlayStation 3 came out, I was already in college, so the relationship someone who played Wii or PlayStation 3 as their first system is going to be so different from the relationship that someone who played it, you know, like when they were already an adult. And that's why I feel like going back to these old games is so exciting, because a lot of people, like me and someone, you know, who played it, you know, when they were younger, like Zach's, we could have totally different experiences with the same games and system, but still have nostalgia for it because of all the time that it's passed since that point when those systems came out. Now, I do not. This is not a place I want to be in. Oh no! Yeah. It's been a long time since I've taken a death in this stage, and that's what I wanted to avoid. But this is normally I play this game once every few months. And there's no checkpoints. You have to beat this in a single go. If you take a hit, you have to start from the beginning. You have to start from the start. You have to start from the beginning of the stage. But that means another opportunity to grab our shield. Okay. Lightning. I mean, watch out for those bomb enemies are terrible. Okay. Okay, we have to go up here. And gamers saying they hope Switch 2 has Wii games for the Nintendo Switch Online. I mean, technically, in terms of technical capability, if it's gonna have Wii games, it can have GameCube games, and vice versa. Wii games might be tricky to adapt the pointer, because they'd have to reprogram the pointer to work with the motion sensor, because the motion sensor on the Wii and the pointer of the Wii were different technology. The actual pointer was an infrared pointer that used two sensors to triangulate your pointer's position. And I personally found the pointer in games like for the Bow and Twilight Princess, I found that to be more reliable, accurate, and fun to use than the motion control bow control that came in later Wii Motion Plus games such as Skyward Sword. Okay. We made it through there. Because we want to get through here with our shield. We really do. Man, potential photosensitivity hazard to certain players, because this game was designed before safety in terms of epilepsy was a consideration in the programming of these games. Zach's, there's a lot of reason to believe that Nintendo within the next 6 months may announce a successor console to the Switch, but nothing has been formally announced yet or by Nintendo. So don't worry too much. Just, you know, wait till Nintendo announces something. But those who like to follow tech news and speculation have been for the last for the last several years been very excited about the prospect of a next-generation Nintendo Switch console. Okay, those Bob-omb guys are terrible. But we got past him. We were able to duck in the arc of his explosion. And we go up here. Yeah, this was about... I got up a little further ahead. Now, this is where we took our L last time, but not this time, because this time we're gonna make the jump and onto the platform, and we're good. We're good. We are safe now in terms of the cannon shots. Oh, and look at that! It looks like Skybase Zone was the launch pad for a Zeppelin pirate ship of Dr. Robotnik. Now, this is before Sonic 2 with the Death Egg. This is before Sonic Adventure with the Egg Carrier. So what we have here is the first ever depiction of Dr. Robotnik having a flying base, a Zeppelin pirate ship, which is a pretty cool concept. Like use of the combination of the Zeppelin imagery with the pirate ship imagery. Boy saying, "Will I buy the Switch 2 or whatever they're going to call it?" I'll tell you what. If for the rest of my life I was sentenced to, hey, you can no longer buy any games for the rest of your life. You can only buy physical Switch games and games on the Switch eShop. I would be set for the rest of my life with what's available on Switch. Switch has more games I can get through for my show and for my personal recreation in the rest of my life. Now, if I was also limited to, hey, for the rest of your life, you can only play the games that you own physically for Switch and in my current library, and in my, as well as my... Oh, Zaxmaster is asking, does anyone know why Dr. Eggman hates Sonic? There's been many different interpretations of Sonic's history with Eggman in the spin-off media, like the comics we're about to read once we beat this. And this is the last stage before the final boss, mind you. Now, what I think... Zax, I'm going to tell you why I think... Sonic the Hedgehog and Dr. Eggman, or Robotnik as he was known to us Westerners at the time. Sonic is an animal. His friends are animals. Robotnik is a scientist, an industrialist. He wants to replace the animals with robots and actually, in many cases, actually transform the animals into his robot slaves. He wants to replace the animals with robots. He wants to replace the forest with factories. He wants to control everything using his machines. Sonic, he's an animal. He's of nature. His friends are animals. He lives in the forest and in nature. He is a free spirit. He can't be controlled. He doesn't want to be controlled. When he sees unjust control, unjust authority, he fights against it. So he's turning those animals, freeing them from their robot exoskeletons that Robotnik has encapsulated them in, turning them back into their, biological, their natural selves, destroying his factories, destroying his plants, and taking back nature. And one of the themes for Sonic the Hedgehog was the conflict between industrialists who believe that they're, advancing, progress in civilization and science, and naturalists and environmentalists who are trying to preserve the natural world and see the value in that. And so that's why I think Dr. Eggman and Dr. Robotnik are Dr. Eggman, Dr. Robotnik, and the same character, or not, depending on your continuity. Because there are continuities in which Dr. Eggman and Dr. Robotnik exist simultaneously as different characters who sometimes team up to fight Sonic, sometimes come into conflict with one another and actually fight each other. So we'll be getting into that nonsense in the comics. Not today necessarily, but in the future. But that's why I think Sonic and Eggman are such great foils for each other. And that's why I think they thematically work so great with one another. Now, so we have this... going here, we have this really treacherous gauntlet of those spinning propeller blades that will kill Sonic, batteries of mounted... No! I did not mean to do that. I did not mean to do that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, I did not mean to do that. That is the last thing I wanted to do. I have not attempted this in years. Oh, I have to go through this? It is so... Oh my goodness. Oh, please, do not. Do not. Okay, okay. I did not mean to waste my shield on attempting this. This is not where I want to be, but we're going to pull a win out of this. We are going to... Okay, alright, you want to blow up? Blow up, blow up. Go ahead. No, I did. I have to. If I survived that, I would have been able to make it to the end of the stage. But now a much safer way, and the only way in which you can claim the Chaos Emerald of this stage, is to jump right here, down this platform. Now you see that the Skybase Zone was actually the launch pad for Robotnik's airship, where he's going to make his final stand against Sonic. He's activated all of his most ferocious security measures, batteries of mounted guns, walking bombs, spinning propeller blades. But here we've just got... We have to jump from platform to platform. Now, many times, this is where my... Hold on. There's mounted guns nearby, and their cycles are random. And they can be very, very dangerous because you could be stuck on the platform with nowhere to go. No! See, just like that. You have to jump to the next platform. The platform you're on will not take you all the way there. So there was a while where I was grinding to get a perfect run of Sonic the Hedgehog where I'd not take a single death. And a lot of those runs where I make it this far will end on this stage with this sequence, because my conditions are, well, first off, it's much safer this way, believe it or not, but also you do not want to, I want to 100% the game, which means getting all the Chaos Emeralds. I forgot to collect the Chaos Emerald in Bridge Zone, so we will not be getting the 100% ending today, which I will explain what that ending entails a little later on, when we actually see the ending. Oh, yeah, okay. We want to get as far away as possible when those bullets come in our direction, so we have as much space as possible to jump in. Because we are bypassing most of those hazards. I mean, honestly, that little bullet, that little bomb guy, is actually the most dangerous part of this stage. Okay. Oh! What? I never took a death like that before. That was crazy. That gun, yeah, it was like off screen and it got me. Yeah, okay. Well, that's the first time I ever missed that platform. I do have more than 9 lives. I have 9 or more lives because this game will only show more than 9 lives on the scoreboard sheet. Yeah, that'll be funny to clip. Yeah, it only shows more than 9 lives on the scoreboard sheet. Yeah, the bullet was slightly off screen. It was, I saw it, but like it was on screen by like its hitbox was loaded in by like 1 pixel. But that little gauntlet of those 3 cannons, that's the last real dangerous part before the end of the stage when you take the lower route. Man, I do not like hearing those bullets going off. Okay, we're good. This is a good cycle. I think it's random which direction the guns will be pointing in, because you have to jump on the platform, being right under those guns where you might have no way of being able to dodge it safely. No! Oh my god. Okay, good. Okay. That's the cannon that took me out last time. And notice the bobbing up and down. Okay, I can't sit around because that mounted gun can shoot upwards as well. Yeah, notice the bobbing up and down of the ship. But I love, and I didn't get to mention this in Scrap Brain, I love the pixel art. Well, first off, the pixel art here of all these panels and buttons flashing is great. But in Scrap Brain Zone, all of those, the dusky industrial sky, the red dusk sky, the towers, the domes, the lights of that city are really, this stage will always give you a 1-up. I think it's programmed to always give you a 1-up. is extremely rare. There are certain conditions I think you have to get to, you could kind of manipulate in order to. Oh, and by the way, I did have a disconnect last stream. Not long after I called, my stream actually disconnected. I had to restart it. If the stream restarts, just watch. As they say, watch this space. I will. If you do not see me, I would strongly suggest those of you who follow me on social media, maybe on Tumblr and on X, the website formerly known as Twitter, follow me there. I will post updates there because unfortunately, for some silly reason, Twitch, they're coming closer with the ability to post those shorts type things, but Twitch does not have a means to post an instant message to my community, to tell me. Oh my goodness, that was clumsy. I know I kind of have a sense of what my pattern is here, but I lost it. I have to figure it out what it is. Yeah, this boss fight does not have multiple stages, so it's left, right, middle, right? Left, right, middle. Middle. Left. If I follow this pattern, I cannot lose. The lightning basically does not deviate from that path if you are standing on the right when it launches from the lightning producer. From the electrode, whatever you want to call it. And a gamer is saying, I just want to catch up with chat real quick. Thanks again for being one of the few active OG late 2000s Nintendo streamers still streaming and having fun doing what you enjoy. It's fun to remember the past gaming industry and classic YouTube culture through your streams between your changing work hours. They wish me the best with my new season of shows, but make sure those callers don't scare your viewers too much. Oh, I won't. Honestly, I'm not too worried about them. If they send any weird package, I mean, yeah, I'll probably open it on stream just for the fun of it, since you saw when they said they were going to send it to me. And we'll see where it goes. Heck, maybe, I mean, if it's free, if it's truly free, I'm not, big into crypto and stonks and stocks and bonds, but maybe, hey, if it's free to mine this cryptocurrency, maybe I'm not going to go out of my way to try to put money into, risking, trying to make a gain on it. But if all I have to do is press a button and I get some sort of digital asset, if I end up making a little money off of it and it supports the stream, whatever. But as far as risking, your hard-earned money on it, I would strongly recommend against that. But, what was I... Oh, yeah, we'll be train... Yeah, if I get the train DVD, I will show it, I will stream it. As long as it's not anything that's, like, in copyright. But it's old footage, because I said it was supposed to be of old Rockaway and British, tramway footage, so it should probably be okay to stream. But, what was I getting at? You check on my social media... if I go down and I'll post it, hey, the stream's canceled, sorry guys, or hold on, I'll be up again. But yeah, if you can't watch me live, watch my VODs and just treat it like it's just a YouTube video. Train's Gone Wild. Yeah, there's stories, but it's not the same as being able to just post, like, hey, hold on, I'll be back, or anything like that, from what I could tell. Oh, I actually triggered it to fly around. Oh, yeah. I have 10, it says I have 10 viewers, whether you're active in chat or standing guard in my silent squad, I deeply and sincerely appreciate you. And honestly, I don't take too much stock in the current live viewers because that thing tends to be slow and unpredictable and inaccurate. So yeah, like there are people who, Zax, you missed my last stream. I was running some old train VHS tapes. And, because I do that on stream sometimes, if you look at my, like, sometimes I'll have some old, train videos of, like, steam trains and museum trains, and even modern trains sometimes, and I'll run them on stream while I play games or while I'm doing something else. Yeah, we got him! That's good, that's game. Boom! Yeah, gamers saying that X is still their favorite because it's like classic forums. You know, because what I do now on my Go Live posts, what I do now, and by the way, this here, if you've seen the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, you'll recognize the island here, because this game, the depiction of Sonic's island on his home planet is based on this here, because this is the earliest representation of what Sonic's home looks like. Because in the Genesis version, they never showed a map of what the island actually looked like. Now, yeah, I did not get all of the Chaos Emeralds, so we don't get the special ending. In the special ending, Sonic uses the Chaos Emeralds to cleanse the island of Robotnik's pollution. Oh yeah, I beat the game. Oh yeah, and it's kind of funny because it is similar to Robotnik's Egg-O-Matic, as it was called, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. That was not... that was actually kind of coincidental to the it was coincidental to the design of Bowser's clown car in Super Mario World. Yeah, thanks everybody. We'll let the credits play out and thank everyone who was involved in the game. And now this microphone that Sonic's standing at, announcing the end of the game, presumably, this is kind of a holdover from some early... Oh yeah, I forgot! We beat Sonic! We get to go to Olive Garden! I almost forgot! Yeah, when we, in the tradition of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, when we beat Robotnik, we get to go to Olive Garden. Thanks to the courteous gift card. What came first, Nintendo or Sega? Well, Nintendo was founded in 1889, and Sega was founded in the 1950s, so Nintendo is probably about 60 years older than Sega. Special thanks to Yoshi Y and Lunarian SG. Presented by Sega. Oh yeah, that's a badly photoshopped picture of me in front of Olive Garden. I cropped the picture out and made it look like I was standing in front of Olive Garden. So there it is. That's my childhood copy of Sonic the Hedgehog. Thank you, my dear parents, for getting this for me back in the day. And we will let us now. Bubble tea cake. I never heard of such a thing. That sounds interesting that Azra's mentioned. So let's get into the Sonic comics. It was just some day, I think I was with my mom at a drugstore and I had my Game Gear with Sonic the Hedgehog, and my mom had the brilliant decision to actually, why don't I'm going to actually switch my monitor. Excuse me. I'm going to switch my monitor back to my dual monitor setup. Because when I am playing games, my console is on my monitors in front of me, and then my broadcast software and chat is on the monitor to the left of me. Since I will be, to the rest of the stream, we're not going to be going back to the games, and this will make it a lot easier. So, yeah, back when comics could be $150, gee whiz, I can only imagine what this would have cost nowadays. Actually, this was $1995, I think. Let's inflation calculator. Let's see. This is $94.95. $1.50 in 1994. Let's calculate. Okay, so this comic would cost $3.50 at today's currency rates, going by the inflation rate alone. And that's before tax, as Azrest is pointing out. So, I guess my mom just got me this comic book And I was like, hey, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, I have to give you, I guess, a bit of my backstory. Oh, yeah, it was definitely a time when comics were 25 cents. It was well before I was born, that's for sure. So, so I told you the story. 1991, getting my hair braided for the first time. My parents give me my copy of Sonic the Hedgehog that I have right here and my Game Boy. And let me just put that back in the stock for safekeeping. And I remember reading the manual and seeing like the evil Dr. Robotnik is turning Sonic's animal friends into robots. I'm like, oh, that's terrible, but that's also cool conceptually. And we got to stop this guy. I can't wait to play the game. And then there was the syndicated television series Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which I would watch weekday mornings before school. Eating my Captain Crunch. I did not have the Nintendo Power comics. I was a Sega kid at this time period, back in the day. But we'll be reading some of the comics that came in Nintendo Power later down the line as we read more Nintendo Powers. Actually, you know what? Wait a second. Did I forget to... Okay, I do have chat in this layout. I just made this layout today, excuse me. So, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, eat it, weekday mornings before school. And this is, mind you, I've lived in New York City, so this is being broadcast straight off the North Tower of the World Trade Center's Twin Towers. And I remember watching Sonic the Hedgehog weekday mornings. Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog specifically. And I remember I liked it because it's slapstick antics with Sonic, Tails, and Robotnik and his two henchmen, Scratch and Grounder. And I was like, I like this, but it's not really about what the game manual is describing, which is that Robotnik is transforming Sonic's animal friends into robots. That's not something you see happen in the cartoon. And then one day, my mom was like, hey, Sonic comes on Saturday morning too. Do you want me to remind you to turn it on with my Saturday morning cartoons on ABC? And I'm like, okay, great. And I see that, I'm like, this is very different than what comes on weekday mornings, because this is Sonic and his friends they're called, he has all these different animal friends, and they do sabotage and espionage missions against Robotnik, who has taken over the world already, and you actually see him transform, the animals into robots, slaves that work in his factories, and I'm like, this is so different, and I didn't think it's better. But I liked it more. I'm like, this is more like what the manual's describing. But the thing is, I didn't realize that was what came on only on Saturday mornings. And so I didn't get to see it that often. And so it was kind of cool the few times I did get to see Sonic the Hedgehog, or Sonic Sat AM as it's called nowadays to differentiate from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. So my mom gives me this comic, and I didn't even necessarily realize that Robotnik looked a little different in this version and it's Sonic the Hedgehog compared to Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. I just knew, oh, it's Robotnik. He has a red suit. He has a big red mustache. I didn't even necessarily notice that he looks different than how he does in the game, because the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog had a Robotnik redesign that was redesigned by Milton Knight. And they adapted that design again for Sonic the Hedgehog. Basically, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was a slapstick series. Sonic the Hedgehog, the Saturday morning version, was an adventure thriller kind of series. And they took the Milton Knight design, which was a redesign of Robotnik for slapstick physical humor. He wasn't a straight villain, he was a goofball. Whereas the version of Robotnik we have in Sonic Sat AM, the animated series for Saturday morning ABC, and in these comics, he's a bit more of a sinister dictator. He's actually successfully taken over the world, and Sonic is a resistance, and his friends are resistance fighters doing sabotage and espionage missions against him. Now, the funny thing is, these comics initially were based on early concepts for what became Sonic Sat AM. And those early concepts were more lighthearted in tone, a bit more humor-based. And so when they started making these comics based on those based on early mock-ups what the cartoon would be like. Then the cartoon came out and it was a bit darker. It was a lot darker actually than the tone of the comics at the time. So you have this period earlier on in the comics. Now, we had grown out of it by issue 26. And it's kind of funny. Well, I'll finish this thought first. With issue 26, the earlier issues were based on that sort of slapstick, lighthearted mood, using the same characters and settings from Sonic SatAM. So there's sort of this tonal whiplash between the comic series, which was lighthearted, and the cartoons, which was more dark and serious. But by the time we get to issue the 20s, the comic is really more brought into line with the more serious adventure tone of the television series. And Zax is saying the Sonic game they enjoyed most was Sonic Rivals 2 on PSP. I never had any of the Sonic games on PSP. So here we have issue 26. Now, it's kind of funny that my mom just happened to end up seeing issue 26 as my first Sonic comic, because the one right before it, 25, was a 25th issue special, an adaptation of Sonic CD, which I've never actually seen before. I know the general gist of it. And it was kind of a big deal for this licensed comic to go on for a full 25 issues, because most licensed comics were sort of canceled by this point. The readership was good enough, Sega wanted to continue on with the license, so we had the Sonic CD adaptation as the 25th issue. And in 26 here, we're sort of back to the regular sort of story of the day comics. So you have Dr. Robotnik, his sidekick, his nephew, Snively. In an Arctic environment, you have Sally Acorn, Princess Sally, as she was known at this point. You have Tails, Sonic getting hit by a freeze ray. I don't think this actually happens in the comic, if I remember correctly. And here we have in the upper right-hand corner, if you can see my mouse pointer, approved by the Comics Code Authority. The Comics Code Authority was something that was made in the 50s, I think, as a way to say this comic has no objectionable material. It was basically something the comic industry did to avoid government censorship, even though government censorship by the First Amendment should be illegal. There was this moral panic about comic books that, had, non-child friendly content, and basically the government had actual hearings, as they would hold for video games later on in the 90s, where they were basically threatening, hey, if you don't do something to censor yourselves, we're going to do it for you, even though the First Amendment, basically, when an incoming media would come, the government would basically keep trying to say, well, the First Amendment, that was meant for books and songs, and this is not a book, therefore we're going to try to censor it anyway. It happened with films. They tried to censor films, say, oh, well, the First Amendment, but that was intended for films. This newfangled, aberrant thing that's come about since then. The First Amendment clearly didn't intend to be applied to films. And then they did it for comic books. It's like, yeah, the First Amendment, but that applies to real books. This is a comic book. This is some wacky thing they've come up with. And they try to do it for video games. Yeah, the First Amendment, but video games can't be encountered in that. In fact, there was a non-binding resolution in the early 2000s that tried to claim that video games were not legally protected by the First Amendment, using several games, including Pac-Man, some Atari games, and then they tried to use Resident Evil as one of the examples, and they consistently refer to Resident Evil as the residents of Evil Creek. But the point is, you have this Comics Code Authority thing that had these guidelines, these really strict guidelines. Oh yeah, Azure is saying that the Hayes Commission and the like. Now, eventually, this Comics Code Authority was an absolute joke, and eventually, I think they still had the seal on there by the time I stopped reading in the early 2000s, but by the time the Archie series ended, they didn't even bother putting the stamp on it anymore. So here we go. Oh man, I still have my actual physical copy of this somewhere, but I have not read this in decades. Sonic the Hedgehog in Way Past Cool Part 1. And this is Sally speaking this. Oh gosh, I just realized I have to do the voices now. Sonic the Hedgehog is helping us to beat the heat by creating a cooling jet spray. And of course it gets splashes Antoine because he's a loser. And with hydrosonic speed, I could race on the water surface as long as I follow one simple rule. And I'm going to try to do Jaleel White's voice. And here's Rotor. later revealed to be LGBT. Good for him. Here's our credits here. SDSH Sonic comic dub. Angelo Descari, Dave Manick doing the pencils. Inks by John D. Agostino. Lettering by Mindy Eisman. Coloring by Barry Grossman. Editor Scott Fulop. Managing editor Victor Gorlek. Editor-in-chief Richard Goldwater. And here we have some ducks. And here we have... It's kind of cool how we have this sort of... like shifting scale as to how much the animals are anthropomorphized, because like the size that like Sonic and Sally and Rotor are like the people size, so to speak, for these like anthropomorphic animal characters. But here we have some ducks. They're wearing bows and ribbons. They're clearly anthropomorphized. They clearly have, you know, human sapience, but they are the size of actual ducks, so to speak. A family of ducks, Kersplash. Like I was saying, as long as I follow one simple rule, don't stop. In fact, I'm going to pull my keyboard a little closer. I'm going to use the keyboard to scroll down. There we go. You can smoothly scroll down without having to... And then when I want to point to something, I'll use my mouse. Here, okay. And then we have a snowstorm coming in. Hey, wow, how did that snowstorm appear so suddenly? This just isn't natural. Nicole, what is the source of this storm? The storm source is an artificial environment modulator. Robotnik! And look at now Sally's using her handheld flip-top computer, Nicole, an artificial intelligence-equipped handheld computer that takes voice commands. And look at that. Look what the whole idea, I remember specifically from this comic, I remember the idea of a handheld computer that could give you information based on voice commands seemed so cool. I wanted something like that. And look at what I have now. A handheld computer that gives me information based on voice commands. Like, yeah. That was well, Sonic wasn't speaking. That was Rotor and Sally that were speaking. So, when Sonic speaks, I'll do my Jaleel White voice. Oh gosh, now I have to do a stereotypical French voice. Yes, we have Antoine D. Collette here, a coyote who, his whole joke, he has this French aspect. Yeah, and like Game was saying, now we have true AI like Nicole through the new AI stuff. Except for instead of telling us that Robotnik's attacking, it could draw pictures with humans that have too many fingers. Fear not, princess. It is the middle of summer, so this may only be the brief summer shower, whoosh, or the brief summer blizzard. Meanwhile, on a hill outside of Robotropolis, bizap, bizap. It's working, Dr. Robotnik. The temperature has fallen to below 0 with the wind chill factor, of course. Now I have to do my Jim Cummings voice for Robotnik. How perfectly excellent, Sniffly. And that 2-week course in meteorology I took at night school is finally paying off. So, we have a bit of a bit of humor here that wouldn't quite be necessarily in the case in the... Well, I mean, the show had humor, but about him taking meteorology at night school, it wouldn't quite go that direction with Robotnik. So here we have Dr. Robotnik, not Eggman, but not Dr. Eggman, but Dr. Robotnik specifically, and his nephew Snively. My weather annihilator will make everything on this part of Mobius so very, very cold. Then we will use the infrared detector to find any being with even the slightest hint of body heat. Especially that cursed blue blighter Sonic. I can hardly wait another second. Snively, get out our little sled. Soon. That storm has made it impossible to find our way back to Knothole, says Rotor. We've got to find our shelter soon or we'll all freeze to death. Eek, the princess is already turning... Princess is right, already Sonic is turning blue. I am you... Antoine, you dweeb, I am blue. Oops, I am forgetting that. My brain must be getting the frostbite. And Sally says, actually, why don't I drag over my chat so it's a little closer to the, yeah, AI for all its, it can auto-generate meme images. It could also create fake news stories and fake photographs of civic leaders and the like, and cause potential chaos like that. It's already, and create hoaxes. So, Nicole, please tell us where the nearest cave is. The nearest cave is 1.0019 kilometers southwest. Poor Nicole, her circus must be frozen. And so are mine, and I'm a walrus. Maybe the cave will have a hot tub. Right now, I'd settle for a warm handshake. Now, I never read comics like this before. I have to keep note of who's saying what. Pope in a puffer coat pics. Yeah. I haven't seen those, but the things like that. Minutes later, and here's Robotnik. And you know it's Robotnik's because he has that R insignia on his car. And it's a couple of SWAT bots, his robotic henchmen. Now, the SWAT bots are not people that have been, or animals that have been, or they're not beings that have been turned into robots. They are actually robots that have been built in the factories that are run by the animals, or Mobians, because this takes place on planet Mobius, so the animal characters are known to be Gamer's saying that they still think Alexa is an homage to Nicole. Maybe some SatAm fans work at Amazon. Maybe, who knows? So, sir, the detector shows a group of warm-blooded beings in that cave ahead. That must be the freedom fighters. Detach the glaciator from our vehicle and follow me into the cave, Snively. And they, room inside the cave. Can you create some heat with your speed, Sonic? I've got to defrost first, but this cave is too cold. It is no use. We are all going to freeze. Not if you follow me. End of part 1. And now we've got part 2. I don't know why it's split up into part 1 and part 2. And I don't know why my wrist hurts so much suddenly. Fortunately, I don't have to use it much because I'm done playing games for the stream. Sonic the Hedgehog and the Freedom Fighters are not here, sir. But it's not the Slot Bot, it's Snively. Sonic the Hedgehog and the Freedom Fighters are not here, but the infrared detector clearly showed. And I remember here, the infrared detector. I had to ask my mom what infrared was. So, it's expanding my vocabulary. My mom explained it's like shades of color that human eyes cannot see that lets you visibly see red. Visibly see temperature. Oh no, you're right, Gamer. You're right. The ads got cut from the comic. Darn! I am so upset about that. I am so upset. No, you need to keep those ads in. The ads are part of the history of the comic. Like, there was a specific ad I was looking forward to see. It was an ad for Twizzlers Pull and Peel. Does that still exist? I want candy. I want candy. I want candy. Yeah, that was a 90s song, right? Yeah, I'm like, I don't need candy, but I want it. Twizzlers Pull and Peel. How nostalgic can you get, right? Twizzlers Pull and Peel. Yeah, and that was, and I remember getting Twizzlers Pull and Peel because of seeing this ad. What a shame. What a shame that they cut the ads from this. Quiet, you beak-nosed blunderer. Take the SWAT bots and search the cave until you find them. Dave Manig was such a good pencilist. Love the way he drew everyone. Yeah. And here we have, no living creature could survive in this cave for long. Not even in a cave. I've lost my Jim Cumming voice already. But at that moment, deep below the cave floor, whoever you are, you saved our lives, all in silhouette here. It's so warm down here. Oh, that's Rotor. It's so warm down here, but how? We control our own environment. We? And just who is this we? We are a small group we're a small, peaceful group of Arctic Mobians. Oh, the term Mobian existed even back then. I'm Gontiver, and these are my friends, Augustus, Celia, Irma, and the penguin is our friend Flip. Yeah, so here we got a Tennessee Tuxedo here. Rotor's potential, I was going to say Rotor's girlfriend, but I forgot, yeah, he doesn't swing that way. Which is something that developed long after I stopped reading, so, Yeah, so, and then we have, this ermine and a polar bear, and we have this fox over here. This fox looks nothing like Tails, but he has a vest on, whereas Tails just has shoes on. Yeah, it's so funny with these designs, these Mobian designs. They just go completely random with how much clothes they do or don't show. Oh, the Arctic Mobian showed up one last time in 248 before the Super Genesis wave. Oh, that's nice. You know, it's kind of ridiculous because Ken Penders did not design the Freedom Fighter, the core Freedom Fighters, or any of these characters. I don't even think Ken Penders was involved with the comic at this point, was he? No, I think he was. And he was like, didn't have an on-page credit. Was that it? Because I think he was definitely involved by 25, and this is 26. Because I think he did work on 25, because I watched an interview where he was talking specifically about his work on 25. Because I know he was not on there from the beginning, right? A gamer would know this, not me. Because he knows a lot more of the behind-the-scenes aspect of the... Okay, Ken Penders and Mike Katanovich started around issue 11. I knew he wasn't there from the beginning, but a lot of people think like that they say you can't use the Freedom Fighters because Ken Penders designed them. He did not design them. He was not involved with the comic from the beginning. Second off, a lot of people think that this comic predates the show, and that's not true. People think the show was based on the comic. No, the comic was based on the show. Now, the first issues of the comic may have been widely distributed before the show aired. Alright, and we are in an ad break for the next 20 seconds, so I will hold off. Let's just take a stretch. Yeah, just take a stretch. Yeah. You know, I really wish they would warn me about these ads. Give me they do sometimes for, I guess, the bigger ad breaks, but for the 20-second ones, they do not warn me. Alright? There we go. But if... Okay, and gamers saying that they wrote one of their favorite comics was Sonic meeting Evil Sonic for the first time, who eventually got reinvented as that Green Sonic, if I remember correctly, right? I have a big gap in knowledge, because after this, this was my first Sonic comic I read. I did not actually get into Sonic comics again until right before the Endgame arc. So I was out of the loop for a while, and I hopped back on right at the perfect time, because man, like, you can make Ken Penders may be the subject of controversy, and his personality he may be a bit maybe easy to make fun of. Heck, I'm easy to make fun of, but come on, Endgame. The fact that he got Sega to greenlight Endgame was a stroke of genius. That he conceived that and got Sega to sign off on it. And it's so fascinating to me. I've said it before, but the fact that, well, actually, now that we're reading the comics, I'm not going to spoil Endgame. We'll actually discover it. We're actually going to discover. Man, I forget how far back Ian Flynn goes, because Ian Flynn actually has worked on the games writing at this point. Modern Sonic games like Sonic, the last Sonic game to come out. But anyway, we traveled south years ago to visit friends and family. Suddenly, Robotnik began his reign of terror, and so, to avoid capture, we sought refuge here. Robotnik's sensors can't penetrate the walls of the cave at this level. Endgame needs to have a fan animate in the style of Saddam. Too good of a story. I agree. Endgame is now there's. Yeah, it would have to be a fan animation because they used Drago and Hershey, who I believe were Ken Penders' characters. So Ian started on 159 right after Ken Penders left. Yeah, he goes back very far. He had a decent. You think of him in the context a lot of IDW Sonic and modern Sonic games, but yeah, he was writing. He had a decent chunk of the later era Archie under his belt. But don't you need a cold climate in order to survive? Yes, and we had to sneak out at night and find some of Robotnik's discarded machinery. We used it to create no more snow. I can run again! Arctic Zone. An artificial Arctic Zone. Haha, nice use of zone there. What? Smash. I'll never tell anyone to chill out again. Soon. It seems we're all outcasts, freedom fighters. Speak for yourself. I'm going to the surface to kick some Robotnik. Get real. You'd be a frozen Sonic sickle before you even got near him. Oh yeah? Well, that's better than spending the rest of my life as a blue stalagmite. You are so stubborn. Wait. We are not skilled fighters, but we can help you adapt to the cold climate on the surface. We can train you in our Arctic Zone. And, next page. That would at least give us a fighting chance against Robotnik. Yeah, and a chance to fight. Let's go for it. And of course, Antoine playing into the very US-specific cowardly Frenchman stereotype has nothing to say about actually fighting. And Antoine is very annoying in Sonic Sat AM. The worst issues or the episodes of Sonic Sat AM are the ones that revolve around him. And he's basically the same sort of character, but leading, actually, like right before Endgame, they start developing his character and his backstory a bit, and he ends up being a pretty awesome character. Whoa, hold on, dudes. We'll need more than long underwear to take on Robotnik. Maybe we could make use of all that lovely snow. A frigid evening 1 week later. Can we please shut down the weather annihilator, Dr. Robotnik? The weather is becoming quite intolerable. No, not until I first find the freedom fighters' frozen figures. Fively, Fively, Snively. Yes, but it's been over a week since they vanished. Surely they could have attacked the tower by now if they could. Perhaps you're right. This weather has affected my sound judgment, not to mention my sweet disposition. Come, Snively. We'll leave the SWAT bots to stand guard while we celebrate and I'll catch up with chat. Ian Flynn starting on 159 right after Candler's... Okay, no, that's something else that scrolled. That is not. Yeah, that is not I thought that was a chat activity. It was not. So, okay, continuing on. Oh, Ken Pender said that people wanted Archie to write Antoine out. People wrote to Archie to write Antoine out, so that's where he decided to improve Antoine's character, specifically in issue 46. I mean, a big character moment, great issue. Yeah, 46, exactly. Yeah, it was 46. And 46 was where I hopped back onto Sonic, the Sonic comics. So I hopped back on just in time. Right in time for Antoine's character growth, right in time for... Now, that's some new info to me, gamer. I was not aware of that. Right in time for Endgame. Right in time, because, 46, if I remember correctly, is the last, 46 is basically a sort of, all the characters, basically all the major characters sit around a campfire and basically do a recap of their history fighting Robotnik up to this point. Go into a little backstory on, a little new backstory, and basically... It's the last status quo thing, establishing what this comic has been to this point before they go into Endgame and the development that's gone on there. Now, gamer, we're not going to spoil. We're not going to spoil Endgame any further. I'm not going to discuss the outcome of Endgame. Now that we're actually getting into these comics in stream, we are going to actually continue on with these comics. But what's that? What's that? Boing, boom, bang. Oh, boing is the Swapwat's head popping off. You missed Robotnik, princess, but you did get the bullseye. I mean, the bot's eye. Forget Robotnik. Aim higher and try to knock out that weather machine. It's our only hope. Ready to reload the catapult, Sally. Take your best shot, because ready or not, I'm going in. Now, I like how the catapult is on skis. And I guess they've got a cotter pin for that catapult ready to go. If you know the cotter, very important to have good cotter pins for your catapults. Sonic and Ray Pass School Part 3. Oh, okay. I know Lupe, because I remember reading the comics. I'm like, hey, it's Lupe from Sonic. I did not realize that she made her debut in the comic in 46. And Collective was saying, Miss Maldiva would make the perfect wife for Robotnik. I think even Robotnik would get sick of her. Sonic the Hedgehog and his hateful horde are attacking us. After you said they wouldn't, imbecile. I'm going to turn up the Weather Annihilator to maximum and freeze them on the spot. Oh dear. He's angry. I must redeem myself in the eyes of Dr. Robotnik soon. The weather is getting worse. I can't see the machine, let alone hit it. Then it's time to attack ourselves. Let's go. Wow, Robotnik is literally playing tower defense against the freedom fighters right here. Maldiva would probably let her husband experiment on the orphans, making them into cyborgs. And they acted like our SatM debut episode was a lost story that wasn't published in the comics, so it was bringing the two SatM universes together. Yeah, it's funny that as I remember it, it's really, honestly, I think it's really from 46 onwards in this case that the Sonic. Well, I mean, Endgame is a massive divergence from Sonic SatAM in itself, but it's Endgame that really starts to diverge the lore, because Endgame starts to get into some of the backstory of Dr. Robotnik that was not expanded upon in the show. In the show, Dr. Robotnik and Sylvie are the only humans that exist in this world. The Kingdom of Acorn was fighting a war against an unknown other faction. It is not described what war King Acorn was fighting against that Julian helped King Acorn win. But in the comics, we learn who this other war was against. We learn why Robotnik was the only human helping the Mobians, the anthropomorphic animals of planet Mobius. And it's at that point that it really starts to seriously diverge from the Sonic SatAM. At this point, these issues of the comic could, for the most part, be taken as just stories of, some SatAM that just weren't animated. And it's kind of funny because for many years there was extremely limited availability of Sonic SatAM. So after years of just reading these comics, going back and seeing Sonic SatAM and seeing the Sonic SatAM characters in animated living color and speaking, it felt bizarre and really kind of surreal in a cool way. But anyway, there's Snively delivering on the promise of the cover here of freezing Sonic. But here he freezes Sonic and his friends. Lupe's marriage and family story are really cool throughout the comic. One of my favorite characters. Okay, yeah, I didn't know Lupe get married, so we're gonna read this as far as what we have available, and it's gonna be very interesting. But eek, we are encased in the ice block. We can't move, and here we have Tails being a bit more of an active participant in the Freedom Fighters, as opposed to. In Sonic SatAM, especially in Season 1, Tails was kind of a child, a relatively helpless character. In Season 2 of Sonic SatAM, he began to develop more of his capabilities as a freedom fighter, take more autonomy, more responsibility. And here we just have him just sort of hanging out with all the characters. Well, they were actually just sort of hanging out and chilling, hanging out and keeping cool in the stream when the ice attack happened, but we're trapped. Will someone please tell me something I don't know? How about this, Hedgehog? Your days as a non-robot will soon be over. Master Robotnik will be so pleased, he may even allow me the honor of roboticizing you all personally. Hee hee hee. Not even you can save us, Sonic. What a Debbie Dowder, Sally. Vroom vroom. That's strange. The vehicle isn't moving. Let my friends go, says Yorick Burnison. A polar bear. I'll polarize you. Rawr. A wolf. Oh, he was a wolf. I thought he was a fox. Okay. Roar, SWAT bots! Priority 1, SWAT bots! Coming, Snively. Be careful on the ice bots. Tisk tisk, a pair of slippers. And he does the Snoopy thing where he could ice skate with his bare feet. Don't worry about the rest of us, Irma. Just free Sonic. There's no time for that, Sal. Just load me the way I am into the catapult. You're all set, Sonic, but cool, now point me toward the top of the tower. Ready? Aim? Fire! Today's forecast, snow, ice, and a chilling winds with a chance of frozen hedgehog. Hee 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 hoo hoo hoo. I see you, Robotnik. Oh no. Give me a break, Doc. Ooh, thanks. Sorry I have to bust your little snowmaker, but in case you hadn't heard, the Cold War is over. Early 90s reference. Later, as the sun shines once again over the Great Forest, this vehicle will enable us to return to the Arctic, but this time, if we encounter danger, we'll have the courage to face it, thanks to the example set by you and the Freedom Fighters, Sonic. Be cool, guys. Farewell, Vroom. Hey guys, as long as there's still snow on the ground, let's have a snowball fight. And they all throw snowballs at him. Okay, I've had enough, you've had enough snow. And, oh, and here we've got some Sonic fan art. Okay, we gotta rotate this to view the glory. Oh yeah. Robbie Burns, Columbia. What is MD? You can tell it's a state I don't deal with. Is it, MD, Doctor of Medicine? What state is MD? MD state? Hold on. MD, oh, it's Maryland! Okay, that's should have been obvious. Yep. Maryland. Yep, thanks, Azurest. Oh, that's interesting. If you would like to see your drawing printed, please send black and white art, no color, to Sonic Fan Art. And, there we go. So. Joshua McGill. Oh no, this is interesting, because this here, this isn't Metal Sonic. This is I think this is meant to be Silver Sonic, but they colored it like Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't know which issue Sonic Grams started in, but I'll tell you right now, and I have not read this for decades, Sonic Grams is in this issue. And there's then the adults colored the pics. Because there are multiple robotic versions of Sonic, and this specifically, I believe, is the version this is the version from Sonic 2 for Game Gear, not Metal Sonic or Mecha Sonic from Sonic CD. Now, but then what was I getting at? Oh yeah, there's Sonic Grams. And there's some kind of weird fourth wall breaking comic about the people who working at Archie arguing over who invented Sonic Grams. Oh, that's Gamer, that's right. So that the colors could be on model and the correct license colors could from the licensing guide. I didn't think of that, because it's ironic, because this Metal Sonic here, this isn't Metal Sonic, this is Silver Sonic, who officially is actually colored silver, but they colored him like traditional Sonic. That's interesting that they, that's a cool consideration I hadn't thought of, actually. Sonic in Fortified, looks like he sprained his ankle. I told you that, now look at this. In the top comic, Sally does not have her vest. But in the second one, she does have her vest. And this one has a bunny rabbit in it, and she was not in the last one. Yeah, and the colors, the shading are definitely different too. So this uses like her season 2 look, and the other season had like her pilot look. Well, not it wasn't her pilot look. Her pilot look is very early on in this comic. I know it does use her pilot look. But I told you exploring this mountain wasn't a good idea. Chill, Sal. How would I know that sprained my ankle? See, Princess is right, Sonic. Up here we are sitting ducks for Robotnik. Huff, huff, Robotnik's on his way, all right, but I'm too tired to keep climbing. I'm too tired to climb or fly. Hey, where's Bunny? Oh no, I have to do a Christy Kavanagh voice now. And Gamer's saying that Art Mawhini. Okay, I gotta not be a lazy reader and sound this out. Mawhini. Okay, that's simple enough. Okay, Art Mawhini did the art on this one. He worked on the Saddam cartoon as a storyboard artist. That's why his art always looked exactly like the show. Man, I love Gamer. I'm glad if you're not able to join live often anymore, I'm glad this is one of the last ones you're able to see live with your new work schedule. Because this is definitely, the commentary has been fantastic. Now, I have to impersonate the late Christina Kavanagh. Over here, Tails. These, I can't. Oh. These here trees seem to be blocking our, okay, I can't do Christina Kavanagh's southern accent. I'm gonna end up sounding like Sally Cheeks from SpongeBob, and like her Texas accent. That's the best I can do. Over here, Tails, these here trees seem to be blocking our path. I'll try to clear out a few out of the way and... Wait, these aren't trees, they're... Oh my stars! Meanwhile, not so far down the mountainside, Robot Bus. And on the side, a war bus with caterpillars and snapping jaws at the front. I remember when readers complained that Bunny wasn't in the comics enough, so I think this story was for those fans. Oh, that's interesting. Drive faster. Oh, the side says, ride Robotnik's Robo-Bus. And leave the driving to me. Besides, you're only going where I want you to go. So, and Robotnik's mad. Drive faster, Snively. No, sometimes I sound a little like I'm trying to be like Jim Cummings. Sometimes I sound like Alec Baldwin's Sir Topham Hatt voice from Thomas the Tank Engine. Drive faster, Snively. Sensors show that the Hedgehog is moving slowly. He must be injured. We're going as fast as we can, Dr. Robotnik. He's having Snively. He's actually having him wear a bus driver uniform. But I'm having trouble avoiding these large rocks. And the seat of your pants will have trouble avoiding my large foot if Sonic escapes. They are up here, sir, higher up the mountain. Excellent. Take us there, Snively. The freedom fighters can run from me, but they can't hide. Hiss. Now, at that moment, what is this place, Sal? I don't know who's saying that. It's supposed to. I think it's Sonic. What is this place, Sal? It must be an old fortress built by one of our ancestors, Sonic. Way past cool. I wonder if these walls are strong enough to hold off Robotnik. I don't think so, Tails. Robotnik's bots would turn this wooden fort into splinters. Ouch, I hate splinters. Fear not, everyone. I have found us the weapon to save us. Great idea, Twan. We could load you into the cannon and shoot you back to Knothole. Aw, come on, that's a legitimately good suggestion. I'm afraid this cannon isn't good for anything, maybe scrap metal. This way, dudes, I found some tools and stuff we might be able to use. See? Hey, it's an old blacksmith's workshop. You know, a person who worked with metal? Wow, I never heard of him. Get serious, Sonic. Now this is cool, writing here. It introduces the word blacksmith, and since they know they're dealing with kids, they explain what a blacksmith is, so that kids who don't know learn about it. I knew what a blacksmith was already. Robotnik's on his way, so we'll have to make our last stand in this fort. We'll have to make our stand in this fort. I just hope it's not our last stand. There, the front gates are closed and locked for now. And notice how Bunny is her legs and arm are roboticized, which gives her additional strength, extendable arms, and later on different weapons and stuff, I believe. So she was partially roboticized by Robotnik when she was younger. It's an interesting concept for the character that they, sort of, yeah, it's just interesting. And ways we'll get into, I guess, as we explore the characters more. But right now, I wish I were all robot and we'd have a better chance against Robotnik. Hey, wait a sec. Rotor, do you have that pocket laser with you? Sure, but it doesn't have enough power to be a decent weapon. Oh, okay. Oh, wow, I didn't scroll all the way down. And Sally says, hey, that robot half you comes in handy sometimes, explaining what I explained. Okay. But it can cut metal. Get that old cannon, Twan. Rotor's gonna be our blacksmith. Ow, huh? Oh yeah, his ankle's still sprained. Soon, the freedom fighters are inside that ancient defense structure, sir. Keep going, Snively. It's time to do a little gate crash. Wahahaha. Snively, stop the bus. Yes, your recklessness. Freedom fighters, the bus bot is here to take you on a guided tour of the inside of a roboticizer. Hee hee ha 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 ho ho ho. Yeah, like Robotnik, like, yeah, the characters are super on model to the animated series here. First, you'll have to get past me, Robotnik, huh? What is that? Snively, what is that? It looks like a bot, but not one of yours. Y'all should know me, Robotnik. You made me part of what I am now. You can call me Robo Bunny. A freedom fighter, sir. She appears to be wearing a suit of heavy metal. Heavy metal? I told you never to mention music in my presence, idiot. I'll take care of her. SWATbot Team 066. Remove that foolish freedom fighter. Now, I hope y'all don't mind if I meet you halfway. Remove, 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 remove. Sorry, but there'll be no hair removal today. And she rams herself into them, using her extra weight from the armor. She wrecked my butt, Snively. Run her down. Gladly, sir. Uh-oh. What was that voice? Gladly, sir. I can't run very fast in this armor. And I'm too heavy to do a bunny hop. Force her into the corner, Snively. I'm trapped. Oh, I've got her, sir. Oh, my stars, where do I go now? I'm trapped. Surprise! I got a leg up on you, Robotnik. Make that 2 legs, and he crashes through the fort. And rolls down the hill. Stop the bus, Snively, stop the bus. It'll stop by itself, sir, when we reach the bottom. Way to go, Robo Bunny, you saved us. Don't thank me, sugars. Sonic's plan worked perfectly. Heck, even when I can't run, I'm still too quick for Robotnik. And here we go, Sonicgrams. Alright, so we have this comic here. Yeah, and Address like, yay. Stop pushing around, Polly. Oh, stop pushing Polly around and give me credit for creating Sonicgrams. It's Joe Pep, and he's angry. What's that? You want some more canned ham? Okay. Dough. He drops cans of ham on their head. I love being the editor. Now, like, this, controversy revolving who should get credit for what, like, in this comic is kind of, ironic given the, later history of this, comic and what eventually, became its downfall. Oh, and here we have this art here. This key art of Sonic. This is not made, I think this is like stock art. But this pose here looks exactly like some old art of Felix the Cat, and I wonder if they specifically modeled it after that. But anyway, you have to zoom in, as this text isn't very high resolution. With issue, our buddy Joseph Pepitone makes his debut in the Adventures of Scott and Paul. Joe, whom we affectionately refer to as Pet, is Archie Comics art director and computer graphics. Every month, Sonic and I deliver the contents of our Sonicgrams pages to his office, where he basically hammers his way his computer, typesetting every word. Yeah, this was before computerized, it was very, a laborious process to actually typeset text into the layout to have it appear in the comic. So, He's also responsible for the dynamic design of these pages, as well as many of the advertisements, lead, and text pages have appeared in all our Sonic books. Let's give this talented guy some well-deserved praise. Praise Pep. As for our star of the comic, if you purchased our Sonic and Knuckles 48-page special, hint hint, you already know that Sonic's next 48-page special is called Sonic the Hedgehog Triple Trouble. The lead story, which will faithfully adapt Sega's Game Gear game, features the return of Knuckles in an all-out brawl with Sonic, the introduction of Knack the Weasel. We'll also thrill to Tails' solo adventure in his new Sea Fox submarine as we begin the countdown to his miniseries coming this fall. Also, see Knuckles in his second solo story, written and penciled by Ken Penders, which continues the countdown to his miniseries. Combine all with another outrageous story by Patrick Spazatine and Harvo, with coloring by Heroic Age. And we have the makings for another instant classic. Next month's going to be way past school for Sonic, Knuckles, Tails. Heck, it's going to be a great month for all fans of every Freedom Fighter. Yeah, the 40th page, I did not. I wanted, and now this is a reminder of what, you have to remember what a big deal Sonic Triple Trouble was for Game Gear. Sonic Triple Trouble for Game Gear was really positioned, in the West at least, as a... Ken Penders has original pencils from his early art work for sale. You want to buy one someday, hopefully. Oh, that would be awesome. I hope you get the chance to buy it. I hope your new job or new hours maybe gives you some new a little more money and maybe some more opportunities to save up so that you could get those pencils, because you're a fan and deserve to see it. To have that, like I have. I won't get up and get it. It would be a bit disruptive. No, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Here we go. Here we go. This is one of my prized possessions. A very precious item I am blessed to own. Now, here we go. This is a copy from the 1960 book. It's inverted here. I'll switch to my webcam. This is a copy of Stepney the Bluebell engine, and here we have Stepney the Bluebell engine from the Bluebell Railway, and we have Stepney and Duck pulling an angry Diesel who was broken down, because this Diesel came to the island of Sodor to show off why Diesels are going to replace steam engines, and he's going to pull the express, and he broke down, and Stepney and Duck have to push him back into the shed to be worked on. And if you, so this book came out in 1960, and and look at that. We have the autograph of Reverend Wilbert Audrey, the creator of Thomas the Tank Engine. And I want to put this right back in its book, because I'm nervous having this out of its book. And so I'm very fortunate to have that in my collection. And what's also neat is I've got here some actual tickets from the real-life Bluebell Railway when I went in 2015. So I've got Stepney the Bluebell engine, and I've got the an actual ticket from when I went to the Bluebell Railway. And I did bring this copy with me, so the Stepney the Bluebell engine book did return home to England and get to ride on a steam-hauled train. And I actually got to take this on the footplate of the locomotive that I was invited on board with the driver. Oh yeah, this is... I don't know, it's not worth much, it didn't cost much, but to have an item that was held in the hands of Reverend Audrey himself. Now, mind you, the man may not have, he was a little old-fashioned, perhaps may not have gotten into an elevator with me if we were to meet up in a building. But joke's on him, because I've got his autograph now, and I appreciate his work, and his work has inspired me to... in a way that I think he would well appreciate. Now, it's kind of funny, he did use the N-word in one of his earlier books to describe some children who had been covered in soot and coal dust, but a lot of his stories, yeah, he reflected his time. I mean, there were racists back then, but they were also anti-racists back then, and but also to tell the full story, because no single person's one story. Now, he may have used the N-word in one of his earlier Thomas the Tank Engine books, But there's a running theme throughout his books of steam, because this book is about diesels replacing steam engines. So a lot of the steam engines have a bias against diesels, but he consistently shows when steam engine characters are bigoted or rude to diesels just because they don't run on coal and water and because they're different, those steam engines usually get their comeuppance. They usually end up breaking down and get saved by a diesel or something like that, where even when there's prejudice that, hey, the book's about the love of steam locomotives, steam engineering, and there are some rude diesels who think they're better than steam engines because they're newer, but when steam engines are bigoted towards diesels, they get their comeuppance. So, yeah, that's, talking about, the chance to own an item for a creation by a creator that it means something to you is a really special thing. So let me put this back in its watertight sealed ammunition case that I keep it in. There we go. There we go. Makes quite the bang when it closes. And gamers saying they'd rather know the real history and learn from it than have everything hidden and don't learn everything. Yeah, I agree. We don't have to celebrate what's wrong with him, but we can appreciate what was right with him, and the good things in his stories and the good things that he did. And I think are things we could learn from, and we also acknowledge he may have had some biases and prejudices. That the content of his stories, in terms of the anti-prejudice messages that are in the stories, really transcend. I think it doesn't excuse some of the things he may have said or did or believed, but I do think that it certainly does show that he had the capability to. He understood. If he had the, I don't know, like, no one's really asked him in detail about some of his. I know all that's known. All I know about his maybe potential prejudices is that he used the N-word to describe some children that had been covered in coal dust. They were black as so-and-so. And we don't know anything. I don't know any detailed things about what he may have believed or anything like that. So, but I know he certainly does have some anti-prejudice stories throughout his books. So we'll leave it there and get back to Sonic and the comics. Yeah, he was a really useful writer and a really useful reverend, a pacifist at a time when that was very, very, very unfashionable. He was a dedicated pacifist at a time when that was not at all fashionable. It's a much more accepted thing to be anti-war. Yeah, I welcome anyone into my elevator. The only time I don't hold the door is when they're very far away, because when you hold the door, it puts pressure on. It can put pressure on the person to run up and catch up with you when they otherwise maybe don't feel like running. That's the only time I don't hold the door for people. But what I was getting at is Sonic Triple Trouble was really positioned as a Game Gear counterpart to Sonic 3, a game with Sonic and Tails and Knuckles, and in Sonic 3 now you have a Game Gear game with Sonic and Tails and Knuckles in it. To get a dedicated, let's put it this way, Sonic Triple Trouble got a dedicated special, a comic book made for it to promote it. Sonic 3 did not. I'll leave it at that. I mean, it did have Knuckles appear and everything, but Sonic 3 did not have a dedicated Sonic 3 comic. Sonic Triple Trouble did. Sonic Triple Trouble was the first game I purchased with money I earned myself from an on-the-books job. And now I did have, special permissions to do work since I was underage at that point. I'm not that old. I'm older than some may think, but I'm not that old. I need to get... I think I sold my copy of Triple Trouble at some point. I need to re-add it to my collection, and I will be playing the cartridges. But here we go, Sonicgrams. Let's read through these. Dear Sonic, throughout my whole comic book collection, you are one of my... Now sometimes they address Sonic as, in first person. Sometimes they address, the actual editors. It varies depending on what kind of person you have writing to you. Dear Sonic, throughout my whole comic book collection, one of the best comic book heroes. I have a question for number 22. Why did those SWAT bots attack Snively and Robotnik? Well, I don't have much to say, except I hope you have a great time, and I'm one of your biggest fans. Now, sometimes you get a lot of younger kids writing in who maybe like miss certain plot points or get confused. Thanks for the phrase that pays me lots of compliments. I try to be the best, but it takes a lot of hard work on my part and my feet. For your question, the reason why the SWAT bots attacked Dr. Robotnik and Snively was that they were pre-programmed to demolish everything. Even if Robotnik himself was destroyed. When they saw Robotnik, they thought he was a fake since their programming told them that he was destroyed. Until he reprogrammed them. Get it? Okay, so Sonic Team. I've been an avid reader of your comic for over a year now, and I've decided to write in. The past few issues have been great. I'm glad the stories are starting to emphasize action as well as humor. Yeah, because this was around the turning point when they were switched, because the earlier Sonic comics were based on that earlier concept. Marvel and DC did that too. I was not reading Marvel and DC comics at this point. This is the only comic I was reading in the early 90s. Now, I did have a lot of comic cards because my father was a comic collector, hardcore comic collector. And he would get he knew a lot of comic book shop owners that would give him cards, and they would get, and so he would give me the cards. So I was familiar with a lot of the characters, but I never read the comics. And a lot of the comics were the edgier, like comics like Spawn that really weren't appropriate for a kid of my age. But yeah, there's good time capsules for the period, but yeah. So, starting to emphasize action as well as humor. As for Pat Spazatine, he's the best Sonic artist in Scott Shaw. Pat brings a real sense of action and intensity to his drawings, which I love immensely. As much as it pains me, I have to make a small complaint. There's the good character, Bunny Rabbit. Bunny is one of my favorite characters on the Saturday morning cartoon. It really bugs me. There we go. Then your comic, Bunny is almost always in the background, contributing little or nothing to the story, or in issues 7, 11, 17, 19, 20. This is a teen or an adult. This is a teen or an adult, all right? This is probably a teen or an adult. Bunny's cybernetically enhanced strength is she didn't appear at all. Bunny's cybernetically enhanced strength is a big advantage to the team, not to mention her built-in functions such as her robotic extendable legs and grappling line in her robotic arm. So this is, what a letter. Yeah, imagine writing this in and getting this comic, reading it and getting that comic, and like, this is just what I wanted, and then reading that, I enjoy Bunny's pleasantly and funny personality. It really burns me up to see some cowardly dork like Antoine get more dialogue than she does. Please take this letter under consideration. Sonic the Hedgehog is still my favorite comic. Peter Hogarth from Ontario, Canada. Thanks, buddy, for complimenting my buddy Pax Bazantine, Peter. He got swelled in the head from all the praise he's receiving, and wait a minute, I think he had a big head to start. As for Bunny, she did a great job of helping Twan in issue 23, and how about her fighting prowess in this issue? Also, since Bunny is Inker Rich Kalowski's favorite freedom fighter, you can bet your chili dogs you're going to see a lot more of her adventures. You know what, Azure Rest? I did not consider that angle. And as someone well versed in the furry fandom, perhaps I should have. I don't know. Yeah, I know. Apparently, from what I hear, I know from like I first became aware of this because Nostalgia Critic's review of Sonic Sat AM. He says, like Princess Sally, the ship that the face that they call Helen of Troy, the face that lost. Yeah, I know. He's probably. I expect he's just a fan, but that's something to consider, in the modern context of Sonic fandom, and fandom in general, to be honest. But they called Helen of Troy the face that launched a 1,000 ships, and Nostalgia Critic called Princess Sally the face that launched 1,000 furries. I liked all the freedom fighters as a furry who did not know that the term existed at the time. Gamer, I'm gonna have to disappoint you. Furry was definitely a thing, like even pre-internet, and like liking certain characters. but it's the internet that made that publicly visible. Yeah, it was the internet that made it publicly visible, I think. Because, like, even in the early 90s, I know that there was a certain fandom, certain obsessive following for Gadget Hack and Wrench from Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. And that was very pre-internet, because that was like late 80s, early 90s. But anyway, okay, let's go this next one. Dear Tails, I am your #1 fan. I have a stuffed Tails that looks just like you. I love the way you twist your tails and fly. Will you ever have your own comic book? Oh, this is a little kid. This is clearly from a little kid. That's so cute. That's so cute. Bless these little kids writing in. This kid might have been my age or younger. Where did teddy bears start from? Teddy bears started in, I think, Theodore Roosevelt was on a hunting trip, and he had the opportunity to shoot a bear cub, and he refused to do so, saying that it was unsporty, and, good for him. And because of that story, the idea of plush stuffed bears being called Teddy's Bear, meaning Teddy Roosevelt. I never read the Tales miniseries, actually. Aw, that's so cute. Okay. Hey, Lisa, didn't someone tell you that this is a Sonicgram page, not a Talesgram page? Just kidding. But you could send him letters to his own comic book page if you want. Yeah, that's right. Tails gets his own miniseries this fall. Look for it by name. Also, check out Scott's Editor's Box for more details on upcoming Tales stories. I'm proud of that boy. Taught him everything he knows, and you know what? And I know that you know that he knows what I know. You know. So there you go. Yeah, I'm glad I did not try to... Yeah, that's this right here. This little preview. This is all I got to see of the Sonic Triple Trouble comic. And Sonic Triple Trouble, I'll tell you what, Sonic Triple Trouble was the last Sonic game that I purchased and owned until Sonic whatever that Sonic game was that had the customizable avatar character, Sonic Rebellion, whatever. Yeah, I never got to actually have this comic, but this Sonic Triple Trouble was the last Sonic game I got until Sonic Resistance or whatever the heck that game was called. And I played about an hour of it and never touched it again. I'll have to play it on stream sometime. But yeah, that Sonic game for Switch was a game that was very specific, very deceptively marketed, I feel. And I feel like the promotional material and the way it was pitched was very specifically aiming the game at fans of these comics and of the old Saturday morning cartoon series. But yeah, we have Sonic, you have Knuckles, we have Knack the Weasel, or Fang the Sniper in Japanese version. And we have Tails and his submarine, which is an item that submarine that Sonic. Yeah, we don't have the Sonic Triple Trouble comic, sadly. I mean the Twizzlers Pull and Peel comic. In fact, no, I cannot. I'm never gonna read this comic on stream again. I cannot. I will not deign to let this go. And in fact, Twizzlers. Oh gosh, darn it. If I type Sonic, will I get... No. No, I'm gonna have to type in old ads. Old ads, and I'm gonna have to... In my blog, and if you want to see all of the... If you want to see a curated museum of all things of interest to me, check out my blog at tumblr.com/supertrainstationh. But I have to look through my and you can read the pinned post there just to get a sense of what I have in my my little. Now I have to scroll down and I have to pay attention. There was an ad a few months ago I reblogged for Twizzlers Pull and Peel. Yeah, you can find creature art, furry art, cartoon art. You can find old ads. You can find lots of train stuff, lots of old technology and video games, all that kind of good stuff. You can find my curated collection of it, as well as just different writings I've done and posted here. You can also get alerts for when my stream goes live, and alerts about my future stream plans and the like, as well as occasionally I will post my own old photographs. Photographs I've taken, photographs of just my various adventures and travels, including trains I've seen. Alright, so we're just scrolling down here. Actually, no. I know what I could do. I'd probably, a better solution would just be to Twizzler's pulling up, of course. Of course, that's easy. Alright, so we could just save the image. Let's put this in a new folder. Twizzlers. There we go. Now, sorry, I haven't been able to keep up with chat. While there we go. Now we go back to my blog, and now I just have to insert this as a source. I just have to wait for my adding sources while I'm live takes a long time. So I'm sorry, I just cannot let the stream end without showing the Twizzlers Pull and Peel ad, because it was like one of the few ads I ever remember seeing and specifically reacting to. I'm like, oh, that looks fun, that looks cool, I want to try that. Do they still make Twizzlers Pull and Peel? I don't even know. QRS. There we go. And bam! Now I just have to resize it, which may take a minute unto itself. Yeah, I don't know if they still make Twizzlers Pull and Peel. I don't even remember if it was new at the time. Wow, that's interesting. So the Christmas tree is on Tubi. I'm very fascinated by the fact that that movie is like actually on a streaming service, but it's just been posted casually to YouTube for years and they haven't taken it down. In fact, if I was aware that the Christmas tree was on Tubi, I might not have even streamed it. Yeah, okay, so Gamer knows this ad. And I remember seeing it in the back of this very issue of... Actually, no, I'm going to scroll up. Yeah, the back of this very issue of Sonic the Hedgehog. And I remember getting it because of that. And I didn't like it much at first, but then like I tried it again and I'm like, okay, I do like this. Because at first I was kind of freaked out by the fact that it wasn't like regular Twizzlers. Yeah, this is an iconic ad, and it's available on eBay for $13. I didn't know if this is like a printout or what. Twizzlers, vintage Twizzlers Pull and Peel, rare print advertisement, $13. Okay, yeah, rare. Yeah, my tail, it's rare. 15. Yeah, there's no way that. That's a joke to call that rare, but all right. And I think that'll do it for this. And you know what? I remember specifically. I remember having Twizzlers Pull and Peel, this comic book, and my Game Gear. When me and my family, it was me and my brother, and my mom was driving. My brother and I were in the back seat, and my grandma's old Trans Am, a Grand Prix thing, and we were driving to Montauk on Long Island to visit the beach. And I remember the beach having this red sand, and it was like a seasonal thing. It doesn't always have that, but anyway. Yeah, I don't know what kind of contracts. Yeah, I hope whoever worked on that movie is getting residuals. But all right, that'll do it for this stream. Where are we? Where's my? There we go. Yeah, so that'll do it for this stream. I'll be back on Wednesday, Wednesday the 10th. I will be playing just a little Alleyway, just to start up for probably 15-20 minutes tops. And then we'll be playing some Revenge of the Gator. Now, Revenge of the Gator, which I have a cartridge for in my hand right here, actually. Come on. Come on. Revenge of the Gator. Go to my webcam. Show them that beautiful cartridge. Show them that beautiful cartridge. Please go to my webcam. There's such a delay. I can't take it no more. I can't take it. Okay. There we go. Yeah, Revenge of the Gator for the Game Boy, which is a game I played a minute or two of just to test the audio, balance it out. It is a pinball game by HAL, who later made Kirby's Pinball Land. They already made Nintendo's Versus Pinball, which I played a lot on stream. And this is a game I definitely look forward to playing, because when I love Kirby's Pinball Land, so when I learned that there was a pinball game for Game Boy that looks so very similar to Kirby's Pinball Land, I was like, okay, we gotta play this. And I put off playing it for years because I wanted to enjoy it on stream for the first time. And when I say I learned about this game in like 2016, 17. And I put on playing it till now because I slouch. It's just my little thing, like I sort of exhale as I hail all of the live performance energy from my psyche as I prepare to move on with my day after the end of my show. So. Let's see. Is any friends of mine live right now? Oh, you know what? I'm gonna send you all over to a friend of mine. Well, not a friend of mine, a casual acquaintance of mine. Lockley Fox. Lockley is watching a special event. I don't know what this event is, but I do know Lockley is not someone I have to worry about. They are a good person, a good fox, and I am going to send. Hold on. There we go. And I'm going to send you all over to them. So I will see you all next time, and thank you very much for watching. And if anyone who hangs in here for the raid, even if you don't stay to watch them, just say hi. But they'll probably be watching. They're watching the events. They'll probably be focusing on that. But yeah, just say hi, show your best selves, and behave yourselves. And I will see you all next time.